Hello, and welcome to the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Andy McNamara. This week's episode, we're going to talk about lots of stuff. Games, Resident Evil 3, Baldur's Gate 3, Next Generation, controllers, tons of community questions, and maybe we might even play some Kiss, Marry, Kill. We're going to do some GI Town stuff. We got all kinds of things on the agenda. We'll see if we get to it all and how long we go. But joining me today, Ben Reeves.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I love it. Let's do it on NPR. Let's do this whole episode on NPR. Dan, Tack, how are you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Whoa,
I don't know if we can keep it up. It makes me laugh.
Oh,
Leo Vader. Leo Vader's in the box.
What's happening, gamers?
Oh, the best one yet.
We got a wild one for you. Talk about epic.
Woo!
So let's start off with Resident Evil. Oh, by the way, welcome everybody. So let's start with Resident Evil 3, which has been a hot topic. Everyone's pretty excited. Comes out. Do you know when this game comes out?
April 3rd? I want to say. I
correct.
don't have it right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
I bring this up because this was on the new gameplay today, or that we did earlier.
Uh-huh.
You guys just botched that horribly.
Well, who can remember dates?
I mean, you botched it like real bad, right?
There's so much stuff going on. Yes. The answer is yes.
There's only one way to really botch a release date, and in that way, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're saying we botched something, sure.
I thought that was funny, Andy. But the YouTube video is up on the site. You can check it out. It is a good one. It's got 4K video of Resident Evil 3. I'm sure Leo will put some of that interspersed in our conversation here if you're listening to the podcast or watching the podcast. But tell us, Resident Evil 3, what's up?
It's a good-looking game.
Yeah, it does look good.
Good playing game, too, I should say. Yeah, if you played Resident Evil 2 last year, you kind of probably already know what you're going to get in for with this one. But yeah, so whereas 2 was a very beloved game, I think 3 is not as beloved, at least the original.
Yeah.
So they had a little bit more work to do, you could say. But I think the new formula that they've hit on really works really well with 3. And I'm more excited now than I was than before I played it. Actually,
let's discuss that formula real quick. So, like with Resident Evil 2, they went in and they didn't just redo the game with better graphics.
Yeah.
They redesigned, smoothed out a lot of the design elements.
Yeah. They knocked down all the studs. They bulldozed the foundation and rebuilt the whole thing. Yeah, it's more of a reimagining.
Yeah.
They keep using that word when they talk about it. And it really is. Like, there's some things there that if you played the original, you'll be like, oh, the hospital section, yeah, that's in there. Like, but the whole layout's completely redesigned. The whole gameplay is completely redone. You know, it's the same concept, but
and a lot of things you know and love are there,
new.
though.
It's a new game.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
So with 3, which you went and played last week, right?
Yeah. I got to play it, and I got to play the online mode briefly as well.
Oh, online mode. What's online mode?
It's called Revelations. It was actually better than I thought it was going to be. You know,
they used to have a game called Revelations. Is that a reference to this?
Is it Resistance?
It's Resistance. Oh, boy, I botched that one.
It's called Brotherhood.
Yeah. It's called Assassin's Creed or something. So it's called Resistance. Dan, did you play it too?
I did not play it, but my friends are actually, the friends who are interested in this game have been talking about it. And like, I'm just like, hey, you guys into Res Evil 3? And they're like, yeah, we want to play Resistance mode. I'm like, what the hell's Resistance mode?
Crazy.
And it's like, what, 4v1 asynchronous kind of thing?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah, I've never been excited for a multiplayer Resident Evil. It's just not what I want from the series. But like this game, I actually enjoyed. So the 4v1, so you're 4 survivors, and you're going through different missions. You're trying to collect things, kind of Resident Evil style, where you collect different keys, and then you bring them all together to unlock a door, and then you progress into the next stage of the area. And so while these 4 survivors are trying to survive, you have a mastermind who is the one who's controlling things from above. You know, you don't actually fight him directly, but he or she is like dropping things into the environment.
More like Dungeon Keeper kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're launching zombies at you or dogs or setting up traps, and they can turn on and off the lights. They're doing different things to screw with you.
Gotcha.
And you can play as that too. And I think I had the most fun as the mastermind, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a cool little gimmick that actually has some depth to it.
Yeah, I've really loved these kind of 4v1 games. They're kind of coming back now. Do you know what I mean? Which is interesting because I think the last couple ones have I think sputtered a little bit.
There was
right?
one that I was really into last year that never took off the ground. It's called Breach, and it was in early access, and it was exactly this concept where the dungeon master creates an experience for 4 other players. More RPG elements than Resident Evil probably has, but same kind of thing. Setting up traps, creating monsters, controlling the monsters directly from time to time. But it's just like, it seems really hard to make those like asymmetrical experiences work in practice.
But I mean, like Evolve was really fun. Do you know what I mean?
For
like,
like what, 2 hours?
yeah, and then it kind of.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. It is like Evolve, like in the moment to moment, was awesome. But then, like when you sat down to play it for a few hours, it like really fizzled. Like just chasing down the monster became like a chore.
Yeah, but I think it's. I think my point more than anything, if I have a point, is more along the lines of that someone's going to hit it. There's something in the 4v1. I just don't know that we've ever had like that ultimate example or one that's resonated with gamers everywhere. Maybe is the kind of
Dead by Daylight is probably the closest.
Yeah.
People do love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's done very well. And remember, what didn't they do one in Fable that kind of failed? Wasn't that the
Fable
whole Fable
one did
thing?
fail, yeah.
Yeah,
Legends?
yeah. What was
Is that
that
what it was
one?
called?
I think it was Fable Legend.
Did that even come out?
I played it like 3 different times, and it was a different game every time. But no, it did not ever come out, I don't think.
Yeah, but I mean, that was the idea that they were going for, right?
They were
Yeah.
going for like, hey, you're a rogue, and you're a warrior, and this guy's the bad guy, and he's summoning like little satyrs and stuff. And woo.
So, but you enjoyed this one. Tell us more about Resident Evil. Sorry, we got off topic there. For a
No,
moment.
I mean, I think it's valid. And I think maybe some of the problem with the asynchronous games is
Sorry, it's asymmetrical. I was my bad.
Asymmetrical?
I said asynchronous originally, and we're just all kinds of
We are.
nonsense
This
now.
is the Botch Cast.
you
Welcome.
botched it, dude.
I did botch it.
But
So
what
I
I
w-
like about it is it's a side mode or a secondary mode, so it's bundled with an awesome single player game. So like even if you don't like the multiplayer,
Yeah.
the single player's enough worth a purchase, I think. And so yeah, like the original game was a little bit more linear, you could say, for a Resident Evil game, and like this kind of follows in that, but they've definitely expanded each area of the map out some more. So the section I played was very early in the game with Jill, where she's on the Raccoon City streets trying to survive, and the Nemesis first shows up and chases her around the city. So, and it's a lot more sprawling, so you're trying to like find different items, like a chain cutter to cut chains and open your way into a new area, for example. So it has that like Resident Evil formula to it, but the one big addition that's new to combat is a dodge mechanic, which there was a dodge in the original Resident Evil 3. So they've gone back to that. They haven't done much with dodge since. And the original game was really poorly implemented, let's say.
Well, it's also
it wasn't
the original
good.
game was still the tank controls, right?
Yeah.
So this is like that first mix of dodge plus that third person
Right.
kind of close.
Yeah, but the dodge in the original game, like aside from the tank controls, it was just like wonky. It was hard to pull off. You would dodge into enemy attacks. Like it wasn't good. This one, it's similar where like a zombie's about to bite you, you'll hit like one of the right trigger, I think it was, and dodge out of the way really quick. And then you can, if you pull down on the left trigger, you'll snap to the enemy and you can get off a couple of free headshots right away. So it's
Gotcha.
like a cool way to like kind of taunt you to let the enemy get a little bit closer and then dodge out of the way and shoot them. But if you don't do the dodge right, they'll bite you. Like the dodge is a lot more forgiving than it was in the original game, but it's still not like the easiest thing to do. So there's a little bit of skill there. So I ended up really liking that element to the game.
Oh, nice. Have you played the original game recently, like in the last couple of years?
In the last couple weeks, even, yeah. I
Oh,
did
wow.
go
Okay,
back to
cool.
it recently.
Oh, cool. Because Dan and I kind of talking a little pre-show. We were discussing. We played it back in the day, but I don't remember that much of it. Was the original game one that like a lot in the Resident Evil series in that early series where it was like really like kind of you were always kind of short bullets and resources. And this one seems, at least what I've seen so far, that it's a little bit more modern in that like you're not always fighting your resources. Or where do you feel this one falls as far as a game goes?
There's definitely still some of that, and that'll probably vary depending on what difficulty you're playing on. Of
course.
I played on the default one, and I mean there was a section I got the shotgun, and like I was using the shotgun a lot because it's really nice, and I was facing some like crazy spider creatures that were terrifying, so I wanted to just get rid of them. And then I did run out of shotgun ammo, and so I was like left with, my pistol, and I had plenty of ammo in that, but it's not as strong. So, there's a balance there. I don't think I was ever out of ammo completely, but you will run out of ammo for certain weapons if you use them too much.
Yeah, I did like that about, just my own case. And I really love that about Resident Evil 2, that I felt like I wasn't battling that as much, though there was like a limit. I couldn't just go crazy, but that it wasn't like always desperation, that you felt like you at least had an option with some kind of weapon, not knife and running as the only solution.
And you do find, what you call it, gunpowder. So gunpowder was first introduced in the original Resident Evil 3, and then they've since used it again, like the remake of 2 had it. So that returns. So you can like craft your own ammo. So if you like a certain type of ammo, you can kind of save up your gunpowder and make that kind. Like if you really like shotguns, for example.
Oh, cool.
And that mechanic from 2, where you had those consumables to use when you got bitten, you could stuff a grenade in their mouth or whatever, is that completely gone? Is that what the dodge mechanic replaced?
Yeah, that's sort of, they would have, that was first introduced, I think, in the remake of 1, but it was also in 2, and I really did like that. So like if a zombie got really close, you could hit the button and like stab them in the neck with a knife or a grenade or something. Yeah, that's gone, unfortunately.
It played into the horror of like, oh no, I have to spend this resource or else I'm going to die. And it's like choosing from 2 bad choices, you know?
Yeah.
And so I worry that it going a bit more action-y could take away from some of the horror of it.
It is different, but the original version of 3 was definitely more action-y to begin with. It was sort of the shift in the series move towards action games, and they wanted to honor that. So that's why they've kind of stuck to like making this a little bit more action-y.
Sure.
But at the same time, like I thought it was a good balance. It's maybe a little more action-y than the remake of 2, but still has a lot of Resident Evil elements that I liked. And kind of going back to your point about the knife in 2, that was a resource that knife would deplete and break eventually. But the knife in 3 will not. So it's like you always have the knife you could use, and it's a thing in the Resident Evil community that you can do knife runs, which you couldn't really do in the remake of 2 because the knives would break. So now you can do a knife run if you want, complete the game with just a knife. And they did say that somebody on the QA team has done that.
Oh,
So
that is cool.
there you go.
So this is the second kind of remake we've gotten in this Resident Evil. Like, so are we excited that we keep getting these remakes? Do we want it to continue on? Do we want to get 4? Where is Resident Evil 8? Right?
We want to get 4. I don't know about the rest.
Do you want 4?
Yeah, I
That's
do want
interesting.
4. I know it's 4 is like kind of like that monkey's paw thing, right? If they screw it up, but they've shown that they can handle it pretty nicely so far, right?
Would you want a remake in this style, or do you just want like better visuals on what is
I think it'd have to.
essentially
I
a
think it
solid
would.
game to begin with?
It'd have to adhere to its original style, right? Like
But these haven't.
they haven't. You're right. So what would you do to 4 if you could change 4? That's the question.
Move and shoot. Have they done that in any of the re-releases so far?
Sorry, what?
Moving and shooting at the same time?
Yeah, you can move and shoot. You can, like in the remakes?
Yeah, of 4. Have they put out a version of 4 where
sorry.
you can do that?
No, I don't think they have.
That's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice.
That's probably pretty doable.
I think that
It's not a
breaks
big
the
ask.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that,
would
I think
break
that
the
does
game,
force
though.
you to do a lot of like to change a lot of the game if you add those kind of things in. I mean,
Because that was part of the tension is like you couldn't move and shoot at the same time, and that's how they would trap you with zombies or Gyrorebos or whatever they were called.
Right.
What were they
Yeah.
called?
Ouroboros?
Goroboros.
I mean, it's really hard. I mean, that's a tough question because that
It
is a
is.
classic. Resident Evil 2 is a classic as well, and I think I was happy with the I mean, like I was thrilled with the remake, especially because I hated tank controls back in the day. So that one for me, where 4, the base controls are more in line, and I'm less frustrated by them.
Yeah.
And I think even for the purists who love the original 2, I think this one, it being a completely different experience, still like adhered to the feeling and atmosphere of 2 in almost every way. It was like, I mean, I loved it, and I thought it was like super cool that they were able to pull that off. So I don't know like what 4 could do differently. That's why I asked.
Would
Yeah.
all of the QTEs in 4 be off-putting to a modern audience?
Oh,
do you think?
yeah.
Yeah, we don't need
I
those.
think there are some versions of the game where you can turn those off or change them a little bit. But yeah, I don't think you can move and shoot. But to answer your question, Andy, like as a fan of the original Resident Evil formula, I've been loving these remakes, and so
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, keep them coming. But there aren't that many more games left to remake at the same time. I think you could go and remake Code Veronica, which
Yeah.
was originally on Dreamcast. But yeah, 4 is one of those situations where like they changed the formula with 4.
Right.
So I don't know personally that I need that to be remade, but I don't know. I would play it again with better graphics. Sure.
And they know the money they have sitting on the table with 4.
They certainly
That
do
would
because
sell the
they
best
put it
of
on
any
every
remake.
other system
I
and
guess
known
if
demand.
if
course.
it's just better graphics, I'd say don't do it. But if they can bring something different to the table that makes it cool, and a different game in the same way that these other ones have been, then I think that would be very interesting and cool to see.
I mean, really, just like
slightly-
improved graphics, you'd say no.
I'd say no to that. I want something different. It doesn't have to be crazy different, but something other than just better visuals.
It is weird to me. I feel like, and this, by the way, I have no data, and I'm just going with a feeling,
Right.
and you can bang it. But I feel like Resident Evil has had a huge resurgence with these remakes versus how much people cared about like kind of. Maybe 5s was pretty high, but then obviously like 6 and 7, it's kind of like felt like it's waned a bit.
For
I
sure.
think the enthusiasm for 6 before everybody played it was high.
Yeah.
But then, I think people were soured by the experience. And I think 7, people weren't as enthusiastic for 7 because of that. But I think 7 started the trend of like, oh, no, we're going to kind of correct for our mistakes. But yeah, I think that was the start of the trend. But definitely the remake of 2 is definitely the best the series has been in a long time. So I hope they continue that trend. And I would like to see an 8, actually. I think that's actually what I want next. Is
that what
an
you want
8.
next? Yeah, that would be my next. That would be my next question. If you were given a choice between Code Veronica, Resident Evil 4, those 2 as remakes, or 8 as the next game from the Resident Evil franchise, you would choose 8.
I'd go 8. I'd even say like keep it first person. Like I like that idea. Keep exploring that idea, and give me another 8. Give me another 8. Remake 8 before you make 8. is
Well, I
what
feel
I'm
like
saying.
8's got to
Another
be. It's something we're talking about later. But I feel like with us at the end of the cycle right now, that these remakes become a lot cooler. Whereas when we get new hardware, that the idea of an 8 becomes a lot more interesting, and they can do a lot of interesting things in that space as they kind of build up towards 8. So I think we'll get an 8 with next gen before we get those other 2. That's my guess. I'm totally guessing, but I could be wrong.
It's a good guess. I think I'd lean the other way. I think
You would?
I think they're on this remake train hard, and
It's just too much gravy.
it's
Just kind of keep taking it.
And it's not just gravy though. It's not like this is like a
It's not a money grab. They're making
right.
great games.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I
They're
agree.
actually
I
making
agree.
great stuff here. So like that, I think that's working out really great for them. But they probably have multiple different teams. You're right. Probably someone has been working on that other one for a long time, and we might see that before the next remake one.
But it is always interesting when you see that Monster Hunter basically surpassed Resident Evil as Capcom's biggest franchise.
It's crazy. Like they finally figured out how to like make their games good again.
Yeah,
it's
and
like that.
So you have to wonder would Monster Hunter take priority as their biggest, most important, next gen game?
I can't wait to see Monster Hunter Next Gen. That I'm very
Or both.
Very excited. Hey, why
I
not both?
I think we'd all want both as quickly as possible. But I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's an interesting kind of question. I think for Capcom is they kind of look to that to see which they would choose.
I think they're choosing both. I think
Yeah.
they're
Right.
putting a lot of resources into both franchises at this point.
Yeah. Nothing else. No,
Well, I'm hoping
no Mega Man.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm
Can
actually
we please
surprised
bring
we
it back
haven't.
and let's get a Resident Evil 2, Mega Man 2. Can we do that?
Wait, you
Oh,
want
I
them to
get what you're saying.
remake 2?
Oh.
Remake 2.
That's a
Just
great
with
idea.
a lot of
graphics?
people think that's like one of the best ones. I think it's one of the best ones.
Yeah,
It's either 2 or
probably
X.
is.
Those are the ones that I want to see remade.
So they could.
Because the art style was great in the last Mega Man.
Did you ever play
It
Mega Man
was.
Powered Up? It was like
No.
I think it was on PSP. It was basically a remake of 1 with better graphics, and
I
then
do like
they
one is-
added
one's,
characters that had been cut, like robot masters that had been cut during
Okay.
development. It's actually a pretty good
That's
game.
pretty cool, if I had a
it has a
PSP.
really like chibi art style. It's cutesy, which might turn you off, Dan.
That
But
doesn't bother. If it's a good game,
you
I don't
hate
care.
cute things, right?
All right, you got me.
Yeah. So that's a good game. So it'd be cool to see that remade. But what I really want is a Mega Man X,
Really?
That's what I said. Yeah, X would
Yeah,
be cool too.
X or 2,
You
yeah.
want a new X?
a new X. yeah.
Okay, I'm down for that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that would be down for that. I always hoped that like the Mega Man stuff was good for people. I loved that we got to do the Mega Man cover last year. I loved that cover. It's just great. I want to support Mega Man. I want Capcom to do more, so that would be really great.
And my understanding is that game did pretty well, or Capcom considers it a success. So I would think they'd be putting resources behind it. It's not as monstrous a success as Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
but-
well, I mean, it's obviously the resources needed for a Mega Man game have to be significantly less.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Than making Monster Hunter or Resident Evil, right? I mean, they have to be. I mean, obviously the art style's not
Yeah.
easy, but I mean, it's got to be less. So they can make them for a little less money. So you lived a dream a little bit last week, I think, for a lot of gamers, in that you played Resident Evil 3,
Uh-huh.
and you also played Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. And I saw the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. It was a really great week.
Wow. you really are living the dream.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's kind of like 10 years ago that like, no, if you said I was going to have a week where I was going to do that, someone would have said that is never happening. Like that would have, especially the Sonic movie.
Yeah. What? Yeah. I was still surprised it happened, honestly.
And it's,
Feels like
it's a
fever
huge
dream.
hit, by the way.
Yeah,
the
which
movie
is also
a huge
weird.
Hit.
Weird.
Yeah, so weird.
Better opening weekend than Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
not really.
Nonsense.
I mean, it does seem a little crazy, right? It's got to seem a little crazy.
It's crazy to me.
It's
I think it's crazy. I'm with Leo.
okay. All right. I am defeated at the
Because
table. by the
just
crazy factor.
Pikachu,
You're right.
Pikachu is
Pokemon
yeah.
Pokemon commands an intense army of stuff, but you got that nostalgia factor. Everybody with the wallet, are the people making the decisions to go to the movie are the older ones who love Sonic. You know?
Yeah, and they maybe made a mistake by not having Pokemon in the name of Detective Pikachu.
They definitely did. Definitely.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That
Like,
makes a huge difference.
A Pokemon story.
But it did have like that silhouette of Pikachu is
Yeah, but like,
very recognizable. Right?
if you go like old school, it's like, hey, you're at the theater. What are we going to see? It's like Detective Pikachu. I don't know what that means. But if I saw the Pokemon film, and I'm a casual gaming adjacent individual,
maybe, but I mean, Pikachu is almost as recognizable as the word Pokemon at this point.
Pikachu is very recognizable.
And we've said, I think it's been discussed, and we've kind of said that we think, just as a group, not individually, that Detective Pikachu might be the best video game movie made, right?
I certainly didn't agree to that.
You didn't agree to that?
Oh no, I did dislike that movie.
What's your better one?
Silent Hill over that one?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Ugh.
It's listen. Well, okay.
There's no cute animals
All right,
in
all
that
right.
film.
The obvious choice is Mortal Kombat as the superior film to Detective Pikachu.
I don't know if it's obvious.
Detective Pikachu was. I mean, we did a whole video on this. You can check out my hot takes on that movie and the spoiled we did on Detective Pikachu after we saw it opening night.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, the video.
The video is good. Yeah. I had a lot of problems with that children's movie. Okay.
Yeah, but video game movies are still like, they're not like comic book
Oh
level.
yeah, they're
movie.
never good.
Yeah,
And
they're.
That's the next thing that has to happen, Andy. We've got to take what comics were, relegated to the nerddom, and then
Yeah.
bring them into the masses with some amazing filmmaking. We could do that.
It could
the stories
happen.
and concepts are there.
100%. 100%. I mean, video game movies don't have to be backseat.
I know.
They don't. But I don't know when that happens.
I don't either. Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. So Baldur's Gate 3, which, by the way, I think there was a point in my life where I was like, Baldur's Gate 3 is just not ever going to happen. Let's just move on. This is never happening. And I still don't understand, which, Dan, you followed this pretty closely, like how this license came back to life with a new developer, because this is not being done by BioWare.
So that story I do know, because
Yes.
I've had it told to me several times by the founder of Larian. And it really involves just like, him and some Wizards of the Coast people getting together at shows, and just sort of talking about like what if scenarios, like what if we had this license, what we would do with it. And then they had multiple meetings over multiple like show conference meetings, which are very common, right? And then eventually they're just like, all right, they came back to him like 2 years later after the initial like discussions happened. And they're like, we thought about it. You know what? Do it. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do it.
We Googled you and found out that you're actually a respected developer.
People really liked your RPGs.
It absolutely has to do, I mean, in my opinion, it absolutely has to do with what they did with Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2, like making those like these incredible new, true to form, old school PC RPG experiences, but still like with many modern considerations. Mm-hmm. Like you go back and play an older Baldur's Gate, I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't.
It's one of those franchises. Baldur's Gate is one of those franchises where like PC nerds won't shut up about it. It's like
And I'm a PC nerd, and
Right.
I will shut up about the old ones.
well, but there are like people out there who are like, "Oh, it's the best thing ever," and like if you try to go back and play it now, you're just like, "What is this?" Like
it's held
so
aloft.
archaic.
It's held to
Yeah.
a standard that you would not know if you didn't play it at the time.
But yeah,
yeah.
because time and place, they were the most incredible thing ever. It's like I can make decisions. I can make my character. It was just the amount of freedom you had in those games was absurd. You could spend the whole day just like making characters and rolling characters and be like, magic missiles, rolling D6s. It was a lot of fun. It actually was.
Yeah.
I spent many days doing that, and then it sort of it sort of became more mainstream when they did like the Neverwinter Nights and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I think that's when it got outside of the hardcore PC enthusiast and into the more mainstream PC gamer spheres. And now we have Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, I
Trying
mean
not
those
to get too off
games
topic here.
in general have had a resurgence. Just stuff like what even like Wasteland or Pillars of Eternity, like all those Kickstarter successes, which
And Divinity.
And-
well, and Divinity,
Yeah.
not to mention them. So like this is carrying on that tradition, but also like you said, modernizing it in a lot of smart ways. So it's still I want to say it's a top-down RPG, but you can move the camera down, so it's a little bit more behind the shoulders while you explore the world. And then also the cutscenes, like when you're selecting dialogue choices, those are much more dramatic and more cinematic than traditional like top-down RPGs.
So the reveal trailer for Baldur's Gate 3 was disgusting. Right.
And it's disgusting. I don't know if I mentioned that.
So yeah, I had a chance to watch the footage that you were able to capture from this event. And I looked at it, I'm like, well, this is Divinity 2.
Yeah.
So how is it? Can you tell me like some of the big differences? Because it looks really rooted. Like from character creation to the stuff that I saw, it looked
The
really...
cameras and everything, it really did. Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing necessarily.
No, it's not a bad
I just
thing.
want to, they've already got a really successful formula. So like, and I noticed also while reading your preview that some of the mechanics from Divinity were included here, like element syncing, like laying down grace to light it up with fire.
Yeah.
Shocking people after they've been iced. Just combining elements, which is
Right.
basically a hallmark of the Divinity series.
Well, I think that's why the D&D folks were like, okay, Larry and you guys are the folks to steward this franchise, is because like they understand, old school, what people got excited about with those old school top-down games, but also like how to make a new game that can appeal to people that aren't excited about kind of those archaic systems, let's say. And so you're right. Like it does bring a lot of, like if you just watch this video for the new Baldur's Gate next to Divinity, you might be like, wait, which one's which? Because there are some similarities.
Yeah.
The differences being like this is based on D&D rule set. So there's that. So you'll see all the like D&D stuff like tieflings and halflings and all like the creatures that you would recognize from a D&D universe. It's set in the Forgotten Realms stuff. Even mind flayers, which you saw in the reveal trailer, like those are a D&D thing. So it's the story looks really interesting.
Looks really interesting, or do you know anything about the story in particular?
I saw from a distance a script, and I'm like, this looks really interesting.
That stack of paper.
Yeah. Oh man, it's very tall. It is about. Here's what I know. It's about like it starts off. There's what do they call these ships? The mind flayer ships, the Nauticas or something like
We need
that.
Matt Miller would be
Nautilus.
better
Yeah, I
answer-
wish
yeah,
Matt
answer the
Miller was
question.
here. But it starts off with one of those ships that's flying around the country and it's like stealing people, and the mind flayers are inserting these tadpoles into their eyes.
Okay.
It kind of reminded me of Wrath of Khan, where he sticks that bug in the guy's ear. It reminded me a lot of that. And so these bugs are turning all these prisoners into mind flayers. And then the ship crashes and all the prisoners escape. And so you play as a group of ex-prisoners who are slowly being turned into mind flayers.
Oh.
And so you have all these special abilities. Like you can jump really high. One of the characters is a vampire, and he doesn't have any of the weaknesses of vampires anymore because of the mind flayer thing in his head.
Gotcha.
So he can walk around in sunlight. Water doesn't hurt him, that kind of stuff. He really enjoys garlic, as Jeff Quirk says. So part of the mystery is just like, okay, well, we're being turned into mind flayers, but it seems like something else is happening too. Like we're getting these extra powers and something's wrong. So the journey is trying to figure out what's going on.
Ah,
So that's
cool.
the setup, which sounds interesting. And the opening cinematic had a bunch of dragons in it, and it just looks really cool, even if you know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons.
So you have
And that should be up on the site now.
different characters you can play as that have their own story arcs. You start on a beach, and you have like an affliction you have to get rid of, which is literally like...
Sounds
Divinity
like my
Original Sin
spring
2.
break.
Yeah, it sounds like Divinity Original Sin 2. But I'm super hyped for this. There's one question I've always been asking about this game that I still don't know after watching the video how it works. How do you get the immense breadth of the D&D system and translate it into a game? Like you can do anything in D&D, right? Like, you see a giant ogre, you're like, I want to distract him with this fish that I found in this barrel. Like,
Yeah.
Tie his
how
shoelaces together.
Yeah,
exactly.
How
That
do
kind
you
of
do
stuff.
that and say like I want to roll a 20 for a critical success?
Yeah.
How does that translate into the gameplay?
A lot of late night coding sessions, I guess. I don't know. They did say in an interview, they were like, we want to allow players to do anything they think they could do that a D&D master would allow for, like a dungeon master
right.
would allow for. And I'm like, man, that's super ambitious. But like you said, maybe you can't tie somebody's shoes together, so they failed. But there are a lot of things you can do. Like you can sneak around, you can push people off cliffs. Like one thing I saw that like blew my mind is like they were sneaking around. There were these like skeleton enemies laying on the ground. They're like, well, if I grab this orb, all these skeletons are going to wake up and attack me, but I can steal their equipment before I reactivate them. And so then the skeletons wake up and they're just like, they have no weapons to attack you, so they're toothless. So like stuff like
Do they
that.
like cover up and run away? It's like,
They're like, ah, you
How's
can
the-
see my bone nipples.
How's the inventory management?
They didn't really show off a whole lot of the menus. and stuff.
Okay, because that's one thing about PC RPGs that always has started to get my goat, and it's just like they have painful inventory systems, especially in the games
just spend a lot of time with it.
you have to adhere to like the weight and the size and all this
Sure.
stuff, especially in as much as I love the Divinity Original Sin games, I think they're like the best thing out there right now, like in a lot of ways. But like just having to haul around each and every apple and potion and slot them in and carry it and factor in the weight. I get that it's realistic, but man, it can become an inventory management problem.
Yeah.
Like just like I've spent way too much time in bags, transferring items, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's been interesting because like in this conversation, I kind of get this sense that you've been like, that's a lot like Divinity 2. You know what I mean? And it kind of blows my mind because like you love those
That
games.
is a good thing.
And it's interesting that you kind of, at least you come off to me at least a little negative on it, which is kind of surprising.
You know, I'm not negative on it. I have expected that. You know, that's what they do now. This is the kind of game that they make. And
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like,
You were hoping for more like
what's Baldur's Gate
personality.
about? I love the
specific
fact that
to?
this could be a Divinity game for all I care. And
Yeah,
it'll
okay.
probably be amazing. They've made incredible stuff, and I'm okay with more incredible stuff. I guess I was expecting like something completely different for Baldur's Gate and D&D.
Gotcha.
You know,
I do want to point out the thing that I thought was the most notable difference, which is that Reeves hinted at it with more cinematic dialogue and cutscenes, but like we're talking animated cutscenes. Instead of just a portrait and text, you're like brought down to their level and you're looking at these characters actually talk and move their mouths, which for me makes a world of difference in an RPG for sure.
Yeah.
I think
a good
that's really
point.
notable.
As somebody who, like, I tried to go back and play the Baldur's Gate games several years ago, and it's just, they're fairly obtuse now. Like, just a lot of these modernizations make them more appealing for somebody who, like, say you really love The Witcher. Like, I could see somebody who really love The Witcher playing this and having a good time.
I mean, based on their previous titles, I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna love this game.
Yeah.
You know, they can be challenging. That's the biggest hurdle I found that when I talk to people, when I try to get them into it, because most people aren't used to being able to do anything.
Yeah.
And when you give them that option, they're just like, "What the hell do I do? Where do I go? What
Yeah.
do I do?" And that can be actually a very very daunting.
I find it can also be frustrating too because sometimes you can make choices that make an area way harder
sure.
than it needs to be, or you would fly through areas if you make right choices. But I mean, it's only frustrating when you make them very difficult.
Absolutely.
Which can happen, which is one of those things you have to overcome.
You can you kill a critical character and have to figure out a completely wacky solution to a problem. That happened to me in Divinity Original Sin 2, where one of the quests at the end of Divinity Original Sin 2 tasks you with figuring out how to get past this like statue SU question who says, "Show me someone without sin." So all my characters had committed sins.
Yeah,
So
buddy.
I killed my character off and re-rolled a new character, like to get him into the party, and then used that character just to get past that area. That's a huge thing to do.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a lot.
I'm like, why the hell? I talked to them about that, and they're like, "Why'd you do that?" I was like, "That's how I thought I had to solve the
There's
problem."
like so many other ways to do that, dude.
Right,
You
right.
could have just lied.
Oh, I tried that. The statue wasn't buying it.
So like those games, does this have any co-op?
Yeah, I didn't get to see that, but they said that kind of like Divinity Original Sin 2, they would have co-op where people could play together.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is one more question I want to get in here about this. I have so many questions about this game.
No, Dan, please.
And so is the combat system similar to Divinity as well? So you have like action points. Swing a sword costs 2 action points. Cast a spell costs 4 action points. Similar to that.
It's not action points. It's more like based on the D&D where you have a
Right.
certain number of seconds you can move. So you can make 6 seconds, I think is what they said, worth of actions. But it's turn-based, so like you go
It's
first.
rebranding.
Right.
It
Yeah.
sort of is. I
Same
mean,
system with a different.
it's probably just got a different name, but it works very similarly
Sure.
in that you go first, then the enemies go, and you can move all of your characters so they can walk like here across the room as far as they can go within 6 seconds. If that makes
Interesting.
sense. And
Yeah,
then they
it
can
makes sense.
attack and do all their other stuff.
Okay.
Also worth noting, when you sneak, you just crouch down and walk instead of putting a big barrel on your head like Divinity.
You got to have the barrel. That's a key part of it.
That'll be divisive for sure.
So can you do the stuff like you could in Divinity? Like, can I if I wanted to, can I like take a barrel, put like 30 pounds of books and rocks in it, and then use telekinesis to sling the barrels at people as my primary attack?
They did not show me that specific example, but like
It's an example.
But I wouldn't be surprised if you could do that because the stuff they showed us was a lot like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
A lot of like sneaking around, pushing people off, or it was funny because the guy running the demo kept saying like, okay, here's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go push that guy into this spider nest.
I mean, that is like, if you're ever stuck in a Divinity game, what you do is you take the push spell and the telekinesis spell, just start grabbing people and launching them off cliffs. That's how you beat like the super hard
Right.
stuff. Like,
But it's funny in the demo, like we had a couple of combat encounters, and every time he's like, "This is what I'm going to go do," and every time it would not work out like as planned. Something would go awry, and some guy would like climb up this thing, and he's like, "Well, okay, now I have to improvise." So it's like constantly like figuring out different ways to like do different spells, or like teleport people across the map, or like. At one point, we destroyed a ladder so somebody couldn't climb up it. Stuff like that.
Yep. Okay. Well, that sounds awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, and again, I want to be clear because you're right, Andy. I think I was coming across because I just discovered this thing. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot like Divinity OS 2, which is not a bad thing, actually.
It's
a
just
good
your
thing.
expectations were different.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something way different because it was D&D and they were working with wizards on it and all that stuff.
You're like, I hope they don't give me more of this thing I love. Is that what you're saying?
You got me. You caught me, Reese.
Yeah.
They always catch me.
It's hard, but I it's a weird. I had when I walked up to your desk and you were watching the video, I had the same reaction a little bit. I was like, oh, and it's a weird.
don't know
thing.
what I expected.
Yeah, I don't know what I expected, but I definitely went like, that's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very easy reaction, but I think those games got a lot of fans and reached a lot of new fans as far as of those kind of RPGs and like that kind of experience. I assume, at least I believe, that adding the Baldur's Gate license to it's going to bring in more people, right?
I would definitely.
That license is really hot right now.
Yeah.
It has been hot for a while, but they're definitely like bringing it out of the, it's come out of the bunker now.
Leo's sarcasm to that.
I loved it.
But I mean, like D&D's bigger. Like everything's bigger. Like and people know more. Like they know what Baldur's Gate is. They know it's revered. They know they don't want to go back and play the old one. I do feel like there's something there. But Leo is a little right. It is not the hottest franchise.
Even if you've never played it, and a lot of people probably haven't. Like if you haven't played one of the Baldur's Gates, you'll still understand that the name is like, whoa, D&D RPG, right? I think there's a correlation there.
Yeah.
Do you think there would have been more fans excited if they'd announced Original Sin 3 versus Baldur's Gate at this point?
I'm sure we'll get another Divinity style game at some point.
Well, yeah, I know. I just like kind of your point is like
I kind of
while
I'm
Baldur's
kind of
Gate is
super,
very beloved, like how many fans are there that are really chomping at the bit?
I'm
for
more
a new one?
excited as a fan that they're taking on this franchise as a thing instead.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll screw it up.
Oh, yeah. Based on what I've seen, they're not screwing it up.
So now for the very difficult question. When is it coming out, Ben?
Oh, don't blow this. They do not have a release date, but they did say in the next few months they will release on early access.
Okay, so they're going to go down that path of like bits and pieces.
Which is
Bits
awesome.
and pieces. Yeah.
Awesome for the fans and super bad for me because I'm going to have to sit there and be like, I don't want to play it yet. I don't want to play it yet.
So you're going to hold off. You won't even try it out.
It's just like if I'm going to end up, and it's likely that this will happen,
Work is going to make you play it.
that I'm going to review it, or something down the line. I don't want to have it like, if I don't want to have that experience where I play it like I play everything in Act 1, for instance, and then I forget all about it, and I come back to it after they've made a bunch of changes and edits because they will do that. That's the big bonus of doing the sort of early access thing for them is they get so much feedback about how things work, what needs to get changed, blah 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 blah. I mean, they went back and redid an entire act of Divinity 2 for like just because they didn't think it was good enough.
yeah.
I mean, that's amazing
Yeah.
and super great that they take that feedback seriously. But when I first heard rumor that this was how it was going to happen, my reaction, it's just like, really? Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be delivered in this way? That Baldur's
flipped
Gate
a
3...
table, I think. Yeah.
Two tables.
I was a little bit like, because I felt like this is a game and that it has been expected and desired for so long that like we can't, it doesn't get maybe that level of polish, and maybe that's just the way games are released now, and I have to get used to it, but I get a little frustrated that I felt like this is a game that I put like in that AAA PC space, and that I expect it to come out and be done, and we play it. And I would love for them to still make changes if something is like off, like in the game. I don't want to, I'm not cutting that off, but the fact that we would get it in bits and pieces, which we don't know what those pieces are yet. Maybe it's the full game, but my guess is we're probably going to get an act or a couple acts
Chapter 1 or whatever,
something
yeah.
like that, and get a chance to play it and see parts of it. And like that to me is like a little unacceptable to me. I
get that approach.
I get it. I think it's great for a lot of games, but this game for me definitely like broke the mold for me a little bit.
I think there's a part of it, and I'm like not trying to defend it at all. I'd much rather play it in one big thing. But I think there's a part of it when you have a game like this where there's so many systems and so many things, like internal QA just can't handle that. Like they've got to use a giant audience in order to find all this stuff before it goes out.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's just it really helps them with polishing the game. Not necessarily defending it, but like I'm sure that's for them why they made that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like what if Fish Doodad 004 interacts with Cheese Wheel 507 and it crashes the game? You know, there's
Cheese
only,
Wheel 507 was my old username.
I bet it was. It's just like there's so many freaking interactions in these kind of games where like everything interacts with everything. It's just like no amount of of even the most rigorous.
Well, but then it makes you think, is like, well, should Bethesda maybe try early access? Would maybe the next Elder Scrolls be better?
Oh my god! Can you imagine?
Wow.
Hey,
It'd be less
if
buggy,
Andy's flipping
though,
a
right?
table over this, can you imagine what Andy would do if he heard that?
I mean, that would be insane to me. I mean, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
It is really, really, really insane to me. I understand what you're saying, but that's insane to me.
Right.
Especially a game that's made, probably $1 billion, can't afford to get testing done?
Well, yeah. Apparently.
It's
Well,
just like, it's
afford is one thing, but like it definitely probably one of the two options is cheaper, and I'm sure the guys up top are like, well, this cheaper option.
Yeah, I
gets it
just
done
like,
better.
okay. So this is one of those things. This I get it. I live in my own little world. I have a lot of access to a lot of games. But one of my pet peeves and one of the things that drives me crazy, and I think I have to do and work through, is that I hate replaying stuff or getting too much space between what I've played to when I return. Right?
No, for sure.
So like if I played like Act 1 and then I played it, I'm like, oh, that was cool. Come back later. I'm like, okay, see you later, right? And like I'll be like, okay, well, what did they change? What's different? Do I need to replay Act 1? Okay, so now I got to replay Act 1, and then I start replaying Act 1, and I'm like, oh, I've already played this, and I get really frustrated. I know I have a lot of games to choose from, but I think everyone has a big backlog, and when you make these commitments, it's tough when there's fits. Right,
I
along the
agree.
way. I want to like dive in and go to the deep end. Even if there's bad things along the way, I want to experience the whole thing once I start that ride. I don't want to like get on a roller coaster, tick, 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 get to the top and be like, all right, next week you get the like I want the experience to happen. Or even halfway through for the roller coaster to stop and say, hey, can you get off later? We'll get to those final curves and get you to the station, right? I want the whole experience in some way, shape, or form. And so that makes it really hard. It makes it really hard for when I walk away from something, or to Dan's point, or I just have to ignore it.
Yeah.
Like literally ignore it for like 4 months. As everyone talks about
Probably
it and
gonna
says
be-
things,
yeah.
you're like, stop with the spoilers. It creates an environment that I'm not crazy about.
I hope it's only 4 months, but I have a feeling it'll be longer.
I think it'll be more longer than 4 months, but
Yeah, you guys are really, really...
Well, for those of us who can't wait to
My
open their
anxiety
Christmas
is going
presents
insane,
early,
by the way, over this.
yeah,
Those games are huge. Like they take a billion years to play through, and they're awesome. So I'm just gonna have to like delete it from my Steam pages so I can't see.
delete
that
it
it's
from
there.
your mind. You've already waited 20 years for the
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, was I really waiting for Baldur's Gate 3? I was excited to see the IP again, but like I wasn't waiting. No one ever thought it was gonna come back, right? Nobody.
No, I certainly didn't think so. But I never would have guessed that D&D would be as popular as it is now. I mean, it's a huge
It's
thing.
definitely
You know what I mean?
had a
Like,
resurgence.
so hot right
yeah.
now.
So like I would have said D&D was always going to be a thing, right? But I just never would have thought it would have been as like kind of
It's
like,
getting
like,
more popular,
like
which is
mainstream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As it is now.
All because of Stranger Things. It's crazy.
It's Stranger Things certainly didn't hurt.
Yeah, I think that probably had a big
probably
part of
did
it.
help, yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it seems like, and the other thing too, Miller and I talked about this, even though he's not here, and he's the Game Informer, big D&D fan.
Currently running a D&D session.
Is that which I thought was a really great point from him about D&D and its growth, is that the fact that people can stream it and you can watch someone play D&D and start to understand it. It's one thing to read the like monster manual or the DM's guide and like get the rules, but to really understand how a game happens or how a game like unfolds, you kind of have to experience. You have to have someone like go like, join me. This is what it's like, right? And if you don't have a friend that can do that, you can now watch someone play it and go, oh, I'm interested in that, or now I can lead my own. And it created a lot of pathways to get into D&D that weren't there.
That actually brings me to an earlier thing we were talking about, because I actually think that's had a big deal to do with Resident Evil. Not only are the new Resident Evil games awesome, like they look great and play great, but survival horror, because of watchability, is definitely super hot in the streaming world as well. Like even if, I know people who are like, I'm too scared to play Resident Evil, but they'll watch streams of Resident Evil constantly, and just like watch other people get scared.
Yeah, oh for sure.
I was too scared to watch Midsummer, so I just watched somebody else watch Midsummer. That's how I took
That's
it
next level, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just watch it with commentary first.
in. Just the audio podcast version.
You should definitely check out Midsummer if you haven't. Reeves has already pumped it up. So
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Good movie.
And I've loved the thing about the Resident Evil ones is that those old games were classics, but for me, I did hate that control style.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the fact that they changed it and made it more modern gave me I loved Resident Evil 2. It was really great this time because of
yeah, but
they made
you're
it.
actually fighting the zombies and not the controls.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun to play now. Like the gameplay on the sticks is really good.
Yeah, so I do really enjoy that they have done that to those games. It's made a big difference. I think Baldur's Gate 3 will do that as well. Like just with all the modern conveniences, will make it so much more available to everyone. So exciting game stuff. And that's going to be on PC,
PC
consoles,
and Stadia,
and
consoles are, I'm sure, going to be announced.
They haven't
in the
announced them, but like if you look at their cycles, the console versions do come eventually. Yeah, with couch co-op and everything. So.
Let's get into some next gen news. So this last week, first of all, last week on the podcast we sat around and we talked about what we kind of wanted out of next gen, and we've had a lot of next gen talk because I think it's obviously a big deal. We talked about how the coronavirus may push back when they come back. We still, this week versus last week, we still had more people pull out of GDC. We've seen more discussion about what effect this has on how people get their stuff. We had a lot of feedback from listeners and watchers that pointed out that like, hey, this also points out we need to find more ways to manufacture consoles just outside of China. And that's interesting. There's a lot of geopolitical discussion there that we're not going to get into on the Game Informer podcast. But I mean, they're all interesting points about how something like this, an outbreak to some degree, has affected the video game world. And maybe, maybe summer will come and it'll all go away or whatever. Some people think
that's one theory.
That's one theory. I don't know that I buy that one, but there's definitely theories out there that fall all along the spectrum. But it definitely, I think, has affected how things have kind of rolled out. But this last week, Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, went on the Xbox News Wire and put out a comment about what you can expect from next generation of gaming, which I thought was great. Xbox has been very, I think, clear in their messaging as far as like where they're going. They've surprised us since the Game Awards, when I never in a million years thought the Series X would have been revealed there as far as
crazy
how it looks and things like that. So we've gotten a lot of information, and thank you, Phil, for keep giving us that stuff. But it's a really interesting article, and I really do recommend that you read it. I threw that up on Twitter myself right away. I was like, you should go read his message because it is very insightful. One of the things is it talks a little bit about the hardware, which is like it's going to do 12 teraflops, variable rate shading, which we'll discuss a little bit, hardware accelerated, DirectX ray tracing, quick resume for multiple games, and smart delivery. The quick resume for multiple games, I actually didn't see that coming. That wasn't on my wish list. You know what I mean? It is always nice to turn off your system now and come back in, turn it on, and be like, oh, I'm right where I was. Like, you didn't have to go.
When that works, which is not every time.
Not every time, but it is nice when it works. And the fact that it could be for multiple games, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm used to that behavior on my phone, essentially, but even there are other games when I return to them after a certain period of time, I have to go through the loading screen again. But having multiple games that I can have in session means I can have the single-player game I'm playing, the multiplayer game I'm playing, perhaps the Battle Royale I'm playing as well, that all of them can queue up fairly quickly would be great.
Yeah.
Right? I think that would be a great addition. So I love the fact that Xbox, and I think every platform is thinking about how to make our lives better as consumers. And I think that's kind of, I know it sounds a little weird, and I think someone pointed this out, because one of the big things is smart delivery, which means that when you buy a game for Xbox currently, that you own it, you own the game, regardless of what platform you play on it. So like one of the old classic moves would be like Rockstar would put out GTA 5 on PS3. Do you know what I mean? And then PS4 would come out, and then we'd buy it again for PS4. So we'd buy multiple copies of that game, and then it would come out on PC, and then we'd buy it on PC. So we would have effectively bought 3 copies of GTA 5, which, by the way,
The Nintendo strategy.
Resident
honestly,
Evil 4 strategy, yeah.
honestly, I think some people were pointing out this, like, it's kind of like this beaten dog mentality a little bit of gamers. That I was perfectly happy to do that, and I've been happy to buy games on multiple platforms. But I do think that new respect in the digital universe, because they've kind of taken away some of our ownership of the titles, that this is the kind of
Well, all of it, right? Like,
yeah.
But at the same time, you're right. The convenience aspect of it is that, you will be able to play your games across the void.
Well, we should be able to. This is the
Right.
first step in that direction.
Right.
We have not been, and the thing is that gamers and people are like, about time, and we shouldn't be so thankful to them for finally doing it, even though I think we should. I mean, I think changing these dynamics is harder than we give them credit for, right? It's not just as easy as like, I think we should give everyone the game. I think like inside these businesses,
Well, yeah.
that becomes big discussion,
Yeah.
and making those kind of calls is big. And it takes someone like Xbox and Phil to start this, that it starts steamrolling. So like basically if you buy Halo, the new Halo on the current Xbox, and then you go get an Xbox Series X, you don't have to buy it again, which is great. And then Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red came out right away, and they said, you get Cyberpunk, you get Cyberpunk. We're in on it.
You get it on PC too?
I think they're just
fine.
punking us. Cyberpunking us.
Cyberpunk, yeah.
That's good, man.
I
That's very
think
good.
this is a really cool thing. Why is it called smart delivery? It just feels like a weird term.
What do you
for
call it?
that.
Delivery? It's got to have a cool, like,
I mean,
smart.
Like I don't know, cross buy or
That's not as
Dude,
sexy.
all the
marketing
marketing
terms.
around all these new conveniences for gamers has all been bad. I mean, it does fit the MO. I think it's all been pretty bad. Like
Yeah.
smart delivery, definitely. You're like, isn't that like Amazon brings
Yeah.
packages to my front door?
it
Isn't
just
that
knows
like,
what I want
yeah.
before I
Right.
buy it? Or
I get
what
the
is that?
impression in my mind that this is something good for me. It's intelligent. It's technology. I'm getting all these like things, it's like technology is happening here. This is good, right? Like,
Yeah.
I like deliveries.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is doing that. It's kind of it is a crap name, but it's a good it's a good service. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a good
Yes.
thing, right? And it's a good change, and it's one that I love that Xbox has done this and said this, because now even if PlayStation wasn't doing it, they have to think about it. And the examples we gave last week pointed to a lot of like the conveniences that cross-play and playing with your friends across things that Fortnite has put into place that are expected, that gamers expect, that they're listening and that they're putting them in. So I think that's huge. And I'd love to see more games come out and say that they're going to be available to you like that way. And I'm with you, Dan. I want to, if I buy it on PC or whatever I buy it on, I want to be able to play it wherever I want.
Exactly.
That's definitely
It'd be great if
expected.
the saves transfer across stuff like that.
That's
like
a big
some
thing,
kind
yeah.
of
that's
weird
another
cloud
cross save
thing. Yeah,
should be expected.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Right, and I
Wow.
think that's like one of those things too. Like that comes to me just a kind of like normal kind of conversation of like Dead Cells. You know what I mean? I played a ton of it on PC, and I'm like, I should totally buy it on my Switch because I love this game, and I would totally play it on. I have to start over.
Yeah.
Right.
And
You know what I
nobody
mean?
wants to start over in Dead Cells. I mean,
You
it's
know,
rough.
yeah, it's rough. And so like that's one of those moments is where like I don't. Number one, I don't want to have to buy it again because I already own the game, right? And number two, I don't want to have to start over again because I've already played the game. Like these are barriers that I have for this game, and giving them money, which I wouldn't give them more money in that scenario where I already own it. But like that's a thing that's got to change, right?
Sure. If we're gonna live in the cloud, right?
Yeah.
Then we have to have cloud services, and then they should be expected across company.
Yes.
Across company lines.
Yeah,
Which
agreed.
is I agree. That's challenging ground to get into, and it has obviously been a long battle, but we're moving in the right direction now. Is essentially
100%.
what we got here. Yeah.
Yep. So, and things to note: 12 flippity flops, the terafloppies, and everyone likes saying teraflops. That's 2 times what we had on the current top end Xbox.
Well, something like 8 times the original Xbox One release.
Yeah,
even
correct. Yeah. So it's a step.
So if you just have
forward.
a base Xbox One, it's like 8 times better than what you got now.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things too. The hardware is better. Nothing is better until they make software that takes advantage of it, right? Everything at this point, and I'm not trying to be negative, it's all numbers until someone makes applications that take advantage of it and move things forward. And Dan and I have talked about this in the past because we're big PC players. I'm always a little frustrated that I feel like PC doesn't move forward until the consoles move forward because they don't make software that takes advantage of all the power we have at home in our PCs.
Because they want to, you got to build it for everybody, so everyone can use it.
So everyone can use
Yes.
it, right? And so this is definitely going to be the start of seeing some real changes in the way games look will happen because the new consoles come out. And so having that 12 flippity flops, the teraflops, is going to be very, very, very handy. One of the things I thought was interesting was the variable rate shading, which was, I'm going to read this. Our patented form of VRS empowers developers to more efficiently utilize the full power of the Xbox Series X. Rather than spinning GPU cycles uniformly to every single pixel on the screen, they can prioritize individual effects on specific game characters or important environmental objects.
Yay!
Oh my gosh.
So what does that mean to me, Andy?
Well, what
Dude, it was English. You
I
didn't get
know
it?
it was. I got it, but like, you could pitch that in a more, I don't know, palatable form.
Call it like smart graphics.
Yeah, come
I
on.
like it. See, Leo's on top of this.
Graphic delivery.
Well, what they say specifically, this technique results in more stable frame rates and higher resolution with no impact on the final image quality. Now, once again, without software specifically showing this,
Yeah.
just like the next thing, which is saying that like they will support up to 120 FPS, which I believe was a big thing for this next generation, is to start support higher frames per second. But I think
We don't even support 60 effectively right now.
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. I knew Leo was going to come after that one. No, it's very true. I mean, the games have to be done specifically for that, or like in the case of PC, you turn down a ton of the effects to get a solid hard 60 FPS or 120 or
Whatever you
240.
get, yeah.
I mean, you can go up to 240 now, and
You can go high if you want to go high.
and you can hit that with a
usually
top
go
end
high.
PC. You can, and they do have a lot of things like within the options to let you lock that frame rate, so that the frame rate will lock, and you'll have dropout and other things that happen first before you lose.
Yeah,
that-
and I think
that-
that's
that
important
frame rate.
for this next gen, like to give people frame rate options. Like on PC,
Yeah.
you'll often have the choice. You know, you want a locked one, you want a variable one, you want to push your rig to the limits, you want to do X, do Y. Give them choices with that when you have that kind of power.
I'm just praying it means that 60 becomes the default, and it's
Yeah.
so easy for developers to hit 60, even if they don't hit 120.
Well, I'm with you. I hate ever telling someone they have to do something, right? Because I think Destiny was a big game at 30 on console. It's great in 60 on PC, and I really love it, and I definitely enjoy it that way.
It's two different worlds.
But it is two different worlds. But I mean, like at the time, they chose to like make a great looking game on this platform, and that the sacrifice to go to 30 wasn't enough to change the game. That's fine, right? Like I agree. I like games that fit at 60, but I hate anything that's like a set rule myself, right? I hope everyone moves towards that being the standard, right? I just think because we expect that. But if someone can break the rules and still make a great game, then they should be able to break the rules and make a great game.
No
if they want to.
compromise.
No compromise. Leo's 100% in on that.
Never. Take no prisoners.
It's got to be 60.
Which they talk about here a little bit, which is like they have a weird thing like this like dynamic latency input where you optimize latency in player to console pipeline. And
I love that word.
There's a bunch of stuff in here, and like a new feature which synchronizes input immediately to what is displayed. Controls are even more precise and responsive. Sure.
Fun stuff.
I also don't want the system to go, oh, your television does 60. I'm going to switch everything to 60. I hope we still end up having some control over and in the options over what those things do. But they also talk about the hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing, which ray tracing is really cool. It's really hard to do, which I think the variable rate shading, which we talked about as far as like doing individual things, I think what that means to us as gamers is that they can make the characters, they can spend a lot of GPU and CPU on having your character be on fire with crazy swords and chains moving around them, and the background isn't eating up as much. That they get choice, right? That if they want to have the background be a little bit more plain and have the character be more ornate, then you can do that, right? And I think that's good. Like giving someone a choice when they make something and giving them the power and the tools to do that is great. I don't think it's like back of the box type thing, but it's interesting.
Hey, you got to get some bullet points cooking on this,
You do indeed. So this, like they said too, SSD storage, which we knew. Does this information excite you guys?
Hey, SSD storage is great.
I think it's good information that's out there. I'm glad I didn't have to sit through a boring press conference like while they rolled off all these details. Like now when they're ready to actually show the thing, they can like show us the games and like show us what these things mean visually
Yeah.
with gameplay, which is what I really want to see. So, but I think it's a nice tease. It has been an interesting rollout of consoles. Like, it feels like the news is kind of coming a little bit more slowly, rather
100%.
than like a big kickoff. Like, here's the thing. Like, it's like, all right, here's a little bit of info, a little bit of info. I don't know. It's weird, but
I agree. I think this obviously isn't how you sell a console to people, but it's good to have that information out there, and I'm glad they're getting out there early with it.
How's the way you sell a console, Leo?
It's all you get out there and you say, "Hey, we are all about the games." I don't know about those other guys, but we like games here.
power to the gamer.
That's right.
I think it's great. I've actually had some people send me notes, and we've seen it in the inbox as well, which podcast at GameInformer.com if you want to send in information.
These are like love letters, or what do you mean?
Ask us questions, things
Okay.
like that. One of the things I've seen, though, and there's comments in there, was people are like, they're actually, frankly, annoyed at the lack of information from PlayStation, which I think is interesting. That I mean, I go back and forth. I want to know more. I mean, we're all dying to know more. But, and I actually thought by now, because it is basically almost March, that we would have had PlayStation 5 info. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, even 3 months ago, even 2 months ago, I would have said we would have had information by now.
Yeah.
But I'm really starting to believe that we may be looking, with Last of Us 2 happening in May, right, that they're going to put that game out, and they're going to support, people being all in the PlayStation 4 ecosystem, that we may not get PlayStation 5 info because of when The Last of Us happens until after E3. And I mean significantly after E3, maybe even like July or August.
Man, that'd be weird.
I don't.
That's my new weird
I mean-
my new weird scenario, but that gives you a couple months of The Last of Us, because it's the end of the month,
Yeah.
right? In May. Like, they're not going to be like, here's Last of Us 2. Oh yeah, here's this. Unless they make it like a poster child for the next generation, but with that being kind of in flux with the virus, with everything, like, when is it going to happen in holiday 2020? I think they have to focus on PlayStation 4 and on The Last of Us 2 and focus on those titles, right?
But
Am I overthinking it?
Yeah,
Last of
I
Us
don't
2 in May was a delay, though, So would they have moved everything else because Last of Us 2 got moved?
I think you do. I mean,
Maybe.
I think you expect that game to be huge, right? I mean, you expect that game to sell 10 million units, don't you? If you're Sony?
We do.
And so you're saying because of The Last of Us, they're pushing this stuff out because they don't want people to get too excited about other projects that are coming down the pipe. They're like, hey, focus on Last of Us 2 for now.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think a little bit. Well, I mean, you don't want to be
It
like.
makes sense.
I could see that.
I mean, I think there's definitely a thought process that goes there, right? They still have a lot of games coming out in this space. We have Doom. We have other things that they want people to concentrate on this generation. I mean, I think that's one of the mistakes when you talk about how would I launch a system, and I asked Leo just to come up on stage and say it's all about the games. I've mentioned this before. I would go more down that Apple path than the path that consoles have classically gone down, where we've talked about PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox for like a year now. It has been dragging on. It's been nice that we've been getting information, but we've known about these things happening forever. I even talked to a friend of mine at DICE that said at one point he was told that these consoles were going to come out in 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
That there was a moment when all this was going to go down in 2019. That there was a race, that there was a scramble for everyone to get together for it to all happen in 2019.
And so this is why Microsoft hasn't put any big exclusives on their console too, so that they can get people excited about the new console. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think Microsoft's taken that route of like, hey, we want to have everything be kind of everywhere, because I think they're selling that services. Which, by the way, another thing in our inbox, a lot of people I think are understanding and kind of excited for the kind of service world and some of the things that it brings. I think people are starting to have a little bit of change.
Game Pass specifically?
Well, just there was a lot of resistance, I think, early on to like, don't change the way I play games.
I think
right?
there still is. I think there's going to be for a while. I think this is going to be the crux of that. Actually, is the next 5 years or so is when the transition begins to happen.
Yeah.
And people will fight it as much as they can. They won't win that fight, but I mean, it's just it's an inevitability at this point. Unfortunately, whether you embrace the digital future or you don't,
or whether Nintendo does it. I mean, Nintendo may be doing its own thing for its own.
You know
forever.
what? Not even Nintendo will be able to resist it eventually.
Oh, that is a bold prediction.
They will be the last holdouts. Okay?
They will, of course, be the last holdout.
They'll still be hawking us cardboard and candy for the next 10 years, but they will eventually go digital too.
How long until Epic announces like the Epic Game Pass or something like that?
They just give games for free.
I know they
for
do.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very interesting thing, Reeves, is like, what is going to happen once everyone tries to be Netflix of games?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Well, there's the
Espe-
Ubisoft Game Pass.
'Cause it
You've
gets
got
complicated, 'cause
the
you've got-
EA Access. We've got all those things.
All the developers have their own stuff. Like, how do you make games under that model? How do you develop games under that model? It's a brave new world out there, and it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be messy at first, I think.
Yeah, unification is going to be a thing that's going to happen
Right.
somewhere along the way, and it will indeed be messy. You are 100% right. Yeah, so I think I mean, it's just fun to just talk next gen. I'm excited about it. And I think there's lots of cool things happening. Let us know what you think. Podcast@GameInformer.com. Let's go to one last point about next gen, which was there was some recent news about kind of the PS controller that has come out, and it's got a bunch of pieces to it. This one, particularly the most recent one, was that that there was a patent filed by Sony that would allow the controller to monitor your heart rate and sweat levels via the controller. So, like when you say like you're in a sweaty match, literally the game would know that you're having a sweaty match. Now it's kind of interesting, but people got mad that like they'd be stealing your heart rate data and using it. But I do think there are ways outside. I know Nintendo had the heart rate thing, and Ubisoft had the one where it was going to like kind of affect games. But I do think you could try to tailor games to people based on their heart rate. Try to set up scares and things like that based on where they are. I mean, like you could do things procedurally. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Or is it evil, Dan?
There are obvious cool things you can do with gameplay mechanics, assuming it's a strictly opt-in feature. I think there's a danger on the other side too, because whenever you get data can be used for good and evil.
Yes.
And on the other side of this, you know, like your phone games already do stuff like this, where they're like, Dan is more likely to make a purchase at 4:00 on a Friday, so let's make sure that we hit him with a deal
Let's change all
at
his
that time when he
clocks.
logs
Yeah.
in. So, and this kind of thing, they can actually just start like, you know, using that, correlating your data to like, well, Andy likes to log in on Saturday morning, and he's more likely to make a purchase then if he's in a well-rested state. So we'll tailor the gameplay to give him a very relaxing Saturday morning experience so that he's more likely to make a purchase.
Now, I sometimes wonder if I think that's evil or not. Right? I guess it's a little diabolical.
It's gray at best.
But like if you know, I need a little rush, and they're like, hey, you need a rush. Here's a deal to get that rush. I don't know. I don't know.
Wait, you're for that though?
I don't know that I'm for it, but I don't feel that my heart rate data is that
You're
interesting.
for, hang on, like to extrapolate a little, you're for having all of the data that from your body and mind being used to sell you things.
Okay, number one. Okay, I don't know that I am, but it's like obviously, you know, it's a talker on the internet, right? It is a big talker on the internet. Yet everyone that's talking about it go like, you should follow me on my Instagram account and let's chat on Facebook, right? Like, I think everyone kind of talks about it, yet still engages, or most of the people still engage with a lot of these social platforms that take and use a lot of our data, or go to websites that take and use a lot of their data. We say one thing and we kind of participate in another.
No, I'm not saying to not. I'm just saying, are you comfortable with having your data used that way?
I guess maybe
Data is already being used against you. So this is one more like point.
So it's
that they'll
it's
be
just
able to
okay.
use
I mean, I get
against
it.
it. I mean, I'm not saying it's
you don't
okay.
have to have a Facebook. You don't have to have a Twitter. This you're not opting in to engage with someone here. You're just playing the game, but the game is reading things about you.
It's scary because it's worth so much money. Do you know what I mean? Obviously,
Yeah.
like Facebook and Google make a ton of money with our data, right? And we get nothing,
Yes.
right? But at the same time, too, like, is that the cost for living in a digital world where I get, like, are the bonuses that I get worth what I pay?
Well, the thing is, you don't get a choice.
You don't get a choice.
In both of these situations,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if
that's true.
you want information on the internet, you got to use Google.
And what if you're a vampire with no heart rate?
Ooh.
But I just don't think, like, knowing what my
Well,
heart
where
rate
do-
is and how sweaty I am, how that can be used diabolically against me, I still don't
Where's the
understand.
line?
Well,
then.
that's kind of the stuff Dan was talking about. But there's also ways where it could be used to your benefit, where it's like, okay, this guy is so stressed out because he's like dying against his boss like 7 times. Like maybe we'll make it a little bit easier.
Yeah,
Like, there's ways
exactly.
to make it so it's like, oh, you're enjoying the experience more because we can measure exactly how you
How
are
frustrated
enjoying it.
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the plus side, there's definitely ways to use that, like you said, rising and falling action. You can create periods of high tension. You can create periods of excitement. This gets into a lot of like psychology aspects of game here. Like I said, and then I'm scared that we'll be tied into monetization systems.
Would you believe it if they had a thing that you checked that said like I'm submitting this data with understanding that it will be not set to my personal ID?
I'd
and
like it
used?
if they had that, but I wouldn't believe it.
You wouldn't believe it.
'Cause
So
every
even if
ti-
it had it, you still wouldn't do it. Would you opt in for it?
I would use it, yes, because I believe it would create a better gameplay experience for me or whatever.
So you're willing to
whatever
pay the
line
price
is.
for whatever.
I'm not for whatever. No.
Okay.
But like I'm saying, like if it's there, they're collecting the data whether you opt in for it or not.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of cases where it's just like, yeah, you know, your TV is listening to you, your TV is watching you, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're not doing that. And of course they were.
Yeah.
And
So you got none of the benefits and still got all
Right.
your information
right.
taken. Yeah.
If the capability is there, that they're going to use it to harvest and utilize or sell that data.
They're going to treat us like batteries, is what you're saying?
It's not even so much treating you like a battery or a non-human. It's just it's about gleaning any angle they can to make you a better consumer.
The thing that cracks me up about this is that I'm waiting for the like game guide to be like, if you're having trouble with this boss, stand up and do jumping jacks for 1 minute to get your heart rate up, and it will enable this mode, and you'll get past it.
It'll click in, yeah.
And you could do that, which I think is insane.
So on the cool end of this, and not the more dystopian end of this, I think that's really cool. This is another great way to like where we can start gamifying health benefits. I think that's always been something that's really cool. I thought that
I
games
love
should
that
be
stuff,
doing.
yeah.
And doing more of. And now with new tech, great. Let's go in that direction. But in the other direction, you have that other stuff where your data, you know, it's out there and it's being used.
It is being used. And one of the things, there's been other patents that they might put the back buttons on the controller. I feel like for all the next gen, I think we're going to get those back buttons, right? We're going to finally have those paddles be pretty standard. Do you think they're like Xbox is going to still sell them as like an elite controller?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
You don't think it's going to be standard?
as long as they're not like obtuse, you know, like sometimes I have a scuff controller that I like, but like at first it was a little bit annoying to have those in the back.
There are experiences where you didn't want it on
Yeah,
there.
there are experiences where like it doesn't add anything, or like it's kind of annoying to have something back there. So maybe if it's removable, or at least to the point where it's like inoffensive that it's there.
Or accidentally pressing them.
Yeah, that's the
when you
other
don't mean
thing.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thrown a million grenades setting down my controller, basically, and killed myself numerous times as well. And then there was another one where they're talking about finger tracking for VR stuff, which points to maybe some VR stuff for the PlayStation. We don't know for sure, but I would imagine. What do you guys think? They can do VR? PlayStation 5?
I think people are chilling out on VR.
Well, I think they've already. Well, have they said that the old VR system will work on the PS5? Right?
No, I don't know. I didn't know.
They
I
better
that.
not.
I thought they had said that.
They better leave that thing in the trash and put out a new one.
I think they'd be better off putting a new one, right? I think if you're going to continue
If
to
we're
move
gonna go
forward, you're
that
going to need
route,
a
we
new
need a
one.
new one.
You have to keep
It could
moving
definitely
that.
use an update. I just, for some reason, I thought the old one would work, but maybe that was just a rumor.
I mean, I don't want to. I hate to say like something you spend $200 should go away, but if there's a new platform, we need a new VR set. They need a new investment in that stuff, I think, and how it works. There's too many wires, too many cables, too much stuff.
Right.
Like,
Oh, if they can make it
think-
wireless, or even just so it plugs into your like controller or something.
I mean,
And that's
talking to
it.
Facebook and the Oculus group, they were very clear in like saying, people really dig that the Quest is the headset you put it on and it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like that anything that they've done, yes, it's not smaller, yes, it's maybe not more powerful, but putting it on and it working, everybody's in on,
That's
right?
big.
There's nobody who's like, oh, I want to set up some wires. Can I have some sensors on a pole in a room? Like yes, there's that really hardcore VR group that's there, but the reality is for VR to move forward, it has to be that simple.
It has to be simple. It has to be effective, and like it still needs more advances, in my opinion. I just don't think it's going to play a big role in next gen, but
And I wanted to measure
depends
my
how
heart
fast
rate.
we advance it. Well, that'll definitely happen.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Well, I mean, it begs the question too of like, how much connectivity is it better to have a VR thing from Sony that's like the Sony VR Man, that's a completely separate, different thing that you buy that isn't associated with the PlayStation 5, that has its own services, that has its own things, so that you're not connected to it, so you don't have to connect it to anything. Does that open it up? Does that make it more broadly available, or do they have to tie it to the PlayStation 5 because
God.
they're a console maker and they have to tie
And that's
everything
the
to a
thing, like-
console, right?
One of the things that VR is going to need to move forward is just like a lot less complications with, and that's another wrinkle, right? That's just
Yeah.
another complication which it doesn't need. It needs to be simple and easy. Like you said, like the Quest, you put it on and it works. That's essential.
I have no problem with them tying new PSVR to the PS5 console. It's the way it is now with the box and the cables. It's a very not user-friendly experience.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. But I mean, if you had to have one cable, or do you want no cables?
No cable.
One cable, fine. No cable's great.
Really?
Okay.
You would do a
Checking is
single cable into your console?
Yeah.
I mean, one more generation, we're going to be sticking the cables into ourselves instead of the console. That's
I like your Matrix future.
That's
I'm
how it's
in.
going to go.
They're gonna sell your memories.
We are
Yeah.
bad.
You know,
Companies.
Leo, that's where this is going. all right?
Have we crossed this line of like biometric data before in games? Like I get taking every other bit of your data and everything else you've ever thought, but like actual heart rate and things like that. Have we crossed that line?
I don't know if we had in games. I mean, I know that people have been upset about, like the Apple Watch, saying that Apple's using that to understand
Sure.
way more about their consumers.
Yeah.
Google made a bid, I think, to buy Fitbit, or it's been rumored maybe as the best way to put it, and people were kind of like, oh, so now they have our health information as well. I certainly share a lot through my Garmin, and I had a Fitbit for a while. I still, like I said, that's why this one doesn't bother me as much. I'm like, I don't know what you do with the heart rate,
Yeah.
really.
But
other than
they
be
do.
like,
Then you have to think
I
about it.
know.
You have to think about it. They can do something with anything.
I get you, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I just like, hey, heart rate's low, they're healthy. Heart rate's high, they're dying. Sell them stuff quick before they die, right? Like.
You say that as a joke. They probably have a system in
Do you
place.
think so? I
That's the
mean,
thing. It's like we've determined, our system has determined that Dan's going to die in a week. Make sure you hit him with all the best deals this week. And it's all behind it.
Well, you can't take it with you anyway. Might as well spend it.
Yeah, come on, man. Oh no, the algorithm
saying,
figured out I like pizza.
That
Quick,
kind of
advertise
algorithm is
pizza.
going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it probably already is, right? I don't know. It's just it definitely is like a crazy. I mean, I just feel like to go forward, we either have to get rid of the internet or
Yeah.
like kind of embrace it.
It's
to
too
some
late for
degree.
that. We're way too on the other path at this point.
Yeah, we definitely.
I'm
are.
sorry to hear about your condition too, by the way.
Yeah, me too. See, that's the thing. They didn't tell me about it. They knew about it, but they didn't decide to tell me about it.
Well, there's those, every once in a while it says that you see that story that someone says like, I didn't know, like I was pregnant yet,
Yeah.
and then they get the like, why am I getting all these suggestions and everything
Yeah.
like that, and then they're like, oh my gosh, that the cloud knew before I did, right? Kind of thing. Those stories, and then maybe they're made up, but I think they're believable.
There's lots of weird cloud stuff that you can like test yourself. Like, your phone doesn't listen to you, and then you can just like start talking about a product, a
And it
very
appears.
specific product.
Yeah.
For like a week, just don't put it anywhere else. Don't type it into Google. Don't do anything with it. And then all of a sudden, it's going to be everywhere on your Facebook and Google, just out of nowhere, and it won't leave.
It won't leave. And people wonder why a lot of people use ad blockers. All right, so that was a fun segment. We are going to take a little break, and then we'll be back, and we're going to do community emails. Like I said, maybe play a little Kiss, Marry, Kill. But we've got a lot of great questions to go through, and join us. We'll be right back. Hello, and welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Andy McNamara. I am joined today by Ben Reeves,
Hello.
Dan the Jack Attack.
It's great to be here.
You look good, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Leo Vader,
Welcome back,
running the show.
listener.
You look good too. Looking great.
Thank you. I'm sitting 2 cushions high today.
I like it when I can see your face. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. It's very nice. That way, when I'm saying dumb things, I can see the look of despair on Leo's face.
Ugh. Ugh. Yeah. A lot of that.
Is he despairing or farting?
They're very similar.
Yeah.
They're very, very similar. They're very similar.
I would say I feel a lot of despair in that situation.
So we're gonna do some community emails. We had a lot. By the way, thank you everyone so much for sending in your questions to podcast@gameinformer.com. It's very helpful. Helps tailor the show, and I think you get a lot of fun questions, and they're always fun to answer. So thank you so much. We had a lot of town suggestions. We had a lot of Kiss, Marry, Kill suggestions. We had a lot of just talk, and it was a lot of great fun. And I skipped a lot of it too, because even just who my guests were, like not having Matt on or not having Joe on, missed some talks about Death Stranding that came up, or D&D that came up, that I think we should really do. But one of the ones that I want to talk about first was a comment someone had, which was like, would we ever have a Game Informer D&D session that we record and put online or do like as a stream? And I actually think that's kind of a good idea.
That's a great idea.
We just have to bug Matt. What do you think, Leo? You'd have
Yeah.
to produce this whole thing. So hey, you're the one that go like, great idea, Andy.
The answer to that question is yes, we would do
Really?
that. It's a matter of making it actually happen, which I think a lot of us want to.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I'd do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, so that was a suggestion that came in so you understand the power of your suggestions. I'd never really thought about it, and I was like, yeah, we should do that. I mean, we wouldn't be as good as Critical Role. Like this, we certainly wouldn't. But we would do a pretty.
We'd be better.
We'd be good. We'd say lots of stupid stuff.
Yeah, we're a pretty good group. Come on. Maybe, yeah, we're good. We're awesome.
We're awesome. Dan says we're awesome. So the jacket says we're awesome. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. All right, so let's get to questions. So this first one ties into our previous conversation, but this one is, hey guys, love the podcast. I listen all the time via Spotify. I have a question. I read that the next-gen Xbox will not have VR support, and I'm just wondering why Microsoft wouldn't want to have VR on their new Xbox. I don't think it would be a problem with the hardware. What are your thoughts?
I haven't read that, so I don't know if it's accurate or not, but...
I mean, they have not said that. I mean, they've been very clear. Even on this one, they're like, we're not doing VR. I think, I mean, my quick reaction would be like, I think he's right that the box is powerful enough to do something with that. It just doesn't sound like that's where
Definitely.
Xbox resources are going, right?
Sure. And why? And after what we've seen with VR in the last few years, why would they?
Yeah.
I mean, not to be if the niche VR market is still very vibrant on PC, you know, but like, and you're right, it does have the power for it. Whether or not there's the interest in people actually participating in those additional peripherals, I don't know. I don't think so.
Sony's been still making games. Resident Evil 6 was a huge success, right? For
Sure.
VR.
7.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 7. Was a huge hit for VR, right?
Astrobot,
Yeah.
another really good game. Beat Saber.
So Sony's
There's
been
good
investing
stuff
in it.
out there. It's
But I definitely, I mean, I think I wrote about this very early on in VR's life. So I was like, I don't know why everyone else is getting in this. Let Facebook spend all the money, get all the technology moved forward, and once it's moved forward, then join the fight. That would have been my approach, I think, if I ran a company. But I definitely see the point here of like, hey, you know, in Seattle is Valve. Microsoft could go to Valve and be like, hey, here's our new technology. Is there a way that we can make it where your VR stuff could work in our world? I mean, they're essentially closed PC platforms,
There you
but
go.
people could make VR games and bring them over to the Xbox. You know, make it a little bit of an open VR platform, help support what's going on with Steam. They don't have to officially make, you know, the hardware, though they do have their own HoloLens that they've been working on for a long time as far as like their AR thing. I don't think that comes to Xbox, the new Xbox, but maybe someday. But it's an interesting question. I just thought it was worth just
It's a
kind of
good
bringing
question,
it up.
and I wish we had like, you know,
We don't have specifics.
we don't have an actual answer. We have guesses.
We rarely have the actual answer. It's just for us to pontificate.
Oh, okay.
And we've pontificated.
We're good at that.
We have pontificated. But thank you for the question. So, hey, informers, how often do you have dreams related to video games? When I binge a super immersive game, I usually dream about it that night if I enjoyed it. Cooperation-based experiences like COD's Blackout, 7 Days to Die, or even Overcooked usually trigger dreams to me too when played with a good friend for hours. Are these unique to me? So I'm wondering, since you work with video games daily, if this is a big impact on you guys.
I
Keep
think
up the
this is
great
the
show.
first time I've
Jefferson
ever heard
Wright.
about this.
Keep
Hold
up
on,
the
keep
great
talking,
show. Jefferson Wright, Paradise, California. I just want to make sure he gets credit. Jefferson
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
credit. That's it. Sorry, I'm
Jefferson,
sorry.
good question.
And do you have a comment? Do you have a comment?
It was just a dumb smart aleck comment of like, no, I think he's the only person that's ever had a game dream. But in reality, I have, yes.
Yes.
I think probably we all have, if I'm guessing right. I recently had one, I think even just like this last week, a Warcraft 3 themed dream. 'Cause
Oh,
I was playing
really?
A lot of Warcraft 3, yeah.
And were you the hero?
Was it a
Were
dream
you
or
the
a
villain?
nightmare?
Just a world-ending disaster.
I think it's more like in this particular one, I was dreaming about playing the game still. I wasn't like in the game, but like I was dreaming about playing the game. But
Were
I
you
have-
sitting at a PC in this dream?
Yeah, my PC and my underwear. And I was late for gym class.
Are you sure this was a dream?
Yeah. Couldn't get my locker open. Yeah, I've also had like a lot of Tetris dreams, stuff like that. I remember having like a Grand Theft Auto dream in high school that was very vivid, where I was like stealing a lot of cars, like I was in the game.
Yeah. Did you wake up like, the police are after me?
Yeah, I was panicked
Yeah.
for like 2 hours.
How about you, Dan?
Yeah, I have game dreams all the time. Like, I don't dream a whole lot though normally that I can recall. Sometimes I do. When I do, they're usually pretty vivid and I get a pretty big memory of them. But
Yeah.
the game ones are sporadically inserted in there, and they're usually not very exciting. Just like an extra 8 rounds of PUBG or something like that. Like, it's just like, then I wake up, I'm like, wow, I didn't actually play those games.
Wow, I dreamed that I played PUBG all day.
It's like, at least if I'm going to dream it, at least let me win those rounds.
Oh, no, wait. It was just Saturday. I did that.
How about you, Leo?
Yeah, I keep a dream journal
You do.
on my phone with some friends,
That's awesome.
and I searched game in it. Here's one from 2018. Dreamed I played a game that was perfectly convincing VR. The goal was to get 10 girls' phone numbers, and every time you got one, it played a little song that went, "You did the greatest of all, you got a phone number from me." There were self-esteem points, and one girl was giving a big speech about how self-esteem was about more than having the most points. And then later that night, I had a dream that the new Far Cry lets you play co-op as the Far Cry guy and the Just Cause guy, but the talking to girls game was cooler.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't, you know what, when I picked this question, I did not know you would have a dream journal, but that is amazing.
I need to start a dream journal.
What is, do you use an app for that? What do you use?
Well, I keep it with friends because it's fun to like look at each other's dreams and make fun of each other.
Sure.
So we just have a group chat in line called Dream Boys.
It's amazing.
It's good incentive to remember to write it down too.
Yeah, see, that's the thing
Yeah.
is I have, like, every once in a while I go, that was a good dream, and I'll
It's
literally
gone an hour later.
walk into the restroom, brush my teeth, come out and go,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yep.
Like, it's just gone. They're fleeting.
And it sucks because like sometimes you have those really crazy like involved ones, and then you like wake up, and you can go back into it when you go back to sleep. That's the craziest thing that I've ever like. I don't know if you guys have done that, but that's like.
And then
it's
you
like-
get incepted.
And then I feel like
Yeah.
really like I know exactly like every detail about that dream, and then 30 minutes later, I didn't write it down, so it's gone.
Have you done this one? I've done this one. I have the best idea for a movie. I'm going to make $1 billion. What? Oh, I don't remember what it is anymore.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I remember like right when the Saturn was coming out, I had a dream that my dad bought me a Sega Saturn and a PlayStation, and I like woke up. I was like, for like a few seconds, I'm like, oh, this is awesome, and then you realize you don't have it. You're like, ah, dang it.
Disappointment
Yeah, exactly.
City. Yeah, every once in a while too, because games are online now. Duh, right? But like some of the drama that goes along with some of the games and friends and all that mess. Sometimes I'll dream about that too, not just the games themselves, which is like that's next level weird.
Because those are like part of the games now. So
They
that
are
doesn't
kinda
surprise
part
me
of the-
at all.
yeah, and
Well,
yeah.
That's part of the gaming experience for a lot of us.
But I have had this one's really bad. I have had World of Warcraft dreams where I dreamed that I did my daily quests, and then I woke up and I was like, I already did my daily. No, it was a dream, which is like doubly disappointing because then I still have to do those stupid dailies.
You do
that
have
is
to do
painful.
that.
Yeah,
I
they're
do have to
required.
do them.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, you'll
gosh.
die otherwise.
But that's a good question. Thank you, Jefferson. A fun one. So next up is, do you have any audio files in the GI office? If so, what are your thoughts on the next-gen sound? Sony is advertising a more powerful implementation of 3D audio, hopefully better than its weak support for its PS4 titles. And Microsoft is touting spatial audio with partners like Dolby. Also, follow-up question, what kind of sound system or headphones do you personally use for gaming? And I cut his name off, so cheers, whoever that was. Thank you.
Cheers.
I'm bad at this.
It was a good question.
It's a good question, though. You
I'm-
know who you are.
I'm not really an audiophile. I was surprised switching from playing Red Dead on PS4 with headphones to playing Red Dead on PC with headphones, how much richer the sound was. Like, I never thought I was missing anything, but then I did feel like it was noticeable when I switched.
And it's because you use different headphones on your PC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then like what I had, I think what I have is pretty good for PS4 headphones, but still.
It just was more rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't consider myself an audiophile per se, mostly because I played drums forever, and I'm like, I lost a lot of hearing playing drums, like hard. Like I was like, and it was that rock and roll attitude kind of thing. Like I don't need to put in any kind of protection for my ears. So I definitely suffered some of that. So sometimes some of that audiophile dollars are wasted on me because of that hearing loss. But I definitely consider it a big deal. I mean, I've used, and I want to point out, I use a Victrix Pro headset here at work, and I love it. I think it's really great. Great headset, not as commonly known, but super comfortable. And for me, in a lot of cases, headsets, comfort is number one. Because I also have I wrote this down. I have one of the Steel series, which they review very well. People really like them, and I actually really like them as well. They hurt my ears. Do you ever have that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and it's great if I play. They're my mobile headphones now. Like I take with my PC when I travel or laptop because they're good for like 2 hours. But anything more than that, I can't hack it. But I also have Sennheiser at home for my PC, which I also too work really well, and I think have great audio in that space. But you guys, what do you guys do you like have a big 5.1 setup at home for your game space? I know you play on PC.
I
More
do.
likely.
Strictly.
I have a sound bar, but I don't use headsets all that often, honestly.
Yeah.
Even on PC, I'll usually just let it come out of the speakers. And maybe that's just because I don't play a ton of like multiplayer stuff. But if I do, I think it's a set of Razer headphones, and I don't know the brand, the specific model number, but that's always been pretty good.
Yeah.
I use Soul Republic Trax Air, which
Oh.
are like $200 wireless headphones. I love wireless.
Wow.
For,
Oh, you love
for
wireless?
Walking around the,
Oh,
the
nice.
apartment, yeah.
And it works really well. I don't think I'm familiar with that brand actually.
It's not like a gamer brand or anything. I don't remember why I even bought it in the first place, but it's been working out for me for like 3 years now. And really good battery life. Like it lasts, even if I have the full day to game, it doesn't run out.
And it's a headset, so you have microphone use as well.
It theoretically, yeah, but I don't.
But you don't?
I have microphones set up in my apartment.
Oh, so you just do it kind of like streamer style for all your.
Streamer style, baby.
Yeah.
Do you have a roommate or something, or why are you using a headset?
I have other people in my apartment building.
Huh.
But also, talking in Discord, you don't want anything coming out of your speakers.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, it's weird. I have a pretty great home theater that I play console games in, right? And it's super loud, and it is fun to play games with like the world is coming to an end loud.
Yeah.
From time to time, but over time, I'm kind of with Leo. I really like the kind of privacy and personal space of like really good headset. Like I think a lot of times it takes like a really great home like console game for me to be like, I'm gonna get on the couch and do that. A lot more these days, I'm gonna play it on PC with my headset on. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a change for me, but I used to like it just like cranked up, loud, shake the whole basement.
Do you have
kind
a
of
really
theater
comfortable
experience.
like desk chair too, or like what's that? Because I just enjoy sitting on my couch with like my feet up more when I'm playing games. Whereas in my desks, I don't have as good of a setup for that.
There was a time where I invested a lot into a great office chair, not a gaming chair, by the way. I think they're way better than the gaming chairs, which is maybe like there's going to be people that argue with me that they think their gaming chair is the best chair ever. But I got a really great gaming chair, office chair that was actually really expensive. But then I went to an Office Depot place and they're like, oh, they're all on sale. And I was like, I'm in. And I got one like super cheap, like almost 50% off. And it's fantastic. It keeps like I feel like I keep my posture better when I sit in the chair to play PC than I do like when I get on the couch to like play console games. I tend to like sprawl a bit, you know what I mean, and like almost lay down as I play and like get really relaxed, which is sometimes great. But
And that's why you need the new PS5 to wake you up.
yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, you're falling asleep.
Yeah. Let's make a giant explosion right in front of him.
So I guess that's kind of where I go. But I like a good set. A great headset is worth it.
I mean, this conversation has definitely swayed me because I do not use great headsets. I go through them a lot. I'm always on a headset when I'm playing on PC because more than likely I am on Discord or something else and constantly on it. And I use cheap headsets because I go through them pretty fast.
Do you drop them a lot?
No, they just the wear
are
and
you
tear.
eating them?
Am I what?
Eating them, like chewing on them?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
But like they just tend to break and come apart like over time. So I end up getting one every 4 to 6 months.
Is it because your ears are so strong?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
But
maybe they're falling apart because they're cheap.
It could be. But I'm scared to buy a bigger one because they'll break. Right?
I like the
a-
strong ears theory.
Yeah, I think
personally.
that's what I'm going to
So the one that I use, I basically have it like on a 6-month rotating cycle. And I have tried different ones, but
Yeah.
always in the economy bracket. Like I'm using the Sadie's SA902 gaming headset, and I do have a good microphone. But for the heads, I don't use the headset mic, but I do always have the headset on. And
Yeah.
that's like $20.
$20.
Yeah, $20.
Wow,
Wow.
that is
Like I said,
that's a bargain.
If I know I'm not gonna like be able, if I know it's not gonna last, I don't want to spend more.
Yeah, but if you're buying like, how many of them are you buying a year?
2.
Okay.
Yeah,
6
I guess
months.
that's not a
So
lot.
if you buy a $40 headset, do you think it'll last longer?
I don't think so.
Maybe someone out there needs to sponsor Dan. Get him off these $20 headphones. The Dan Cast.
Yeah.
I've seen your weird glasses when you stream.
Have you seen my wear glass? You should see the setup now. It's a lot. It's even crazier.
Is it even crazier?
It's there's
I follow you.
disco
I don't know.
lighting.
I haven't seen you on lately. Maybe I'm just missing it. Maybe you're just
every
way down
night.
on it.
Every night, 8 p.m. CT.
All right.
Twitch.tv/
Dan Snacks.
Dan Snacks.
Dan Snacks.
All right.
All right.
Well, excellent. So, yeah, I don't think, and I think Miller's a bit of an audiophile. He considers himself to be so, but like there are people in the office that do that. But we do talk about headsets quite a bit and audio, and we certainly want that experience to be good, and it's important. I think it's a big part of a good game experience too. By the way. All right. New listener. Good evening, crew. I have just finished listening to the most recent podcast, What We Want from the Next Generation, after searching for a video game-centric podcast, and I loved it. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Oh,
That's very. I love it.
First of all, we need new listeners. Tell your friends. We'd love to have as many new listeners as possible, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully this one as well is fun. Y'all seem like a good group. I'm not sure your names yet. I believe that. The annoying voice is me. Ben is the one that's always slightly confused.
Yeah. Wait, what are we doing?
Dance is the one in the jacket.
Hi.
And Leo is the one that's like the best sarcasm.
And they
the
can
group.
definitely hear the jacket too if they're just a.
If you listen
There's
carefully,
audio clues.
You can hear the jacket
shifting.
You can hear it. But there seems to be a decent backlog of podcasts. There really are. There are almost like there's almost 500 of them back there that you could go listen to. My question is, I'd ask, what was your introduction to video games as a child? Thank you for the great show from Austin. The name, not the place. I think this is a question we've covered before in some way, shape, or form, but I think it's always an interesting question, and I don't know the answer for some of you guys, and I wanted to know. So how did you start gaming? What was your gaming life like when you were just a wee lad?
If we're starting for like technical first experience, which I think is what the question is,
Yeah.
I think we're going with Atari 2600 Star Wars.
Oh,
Yeah,
Star Wars was your first one. You
the really bad
not
one?
Combat, not anything. This is Star Wars.
It was Star Wars first.
Star
The
Wars
one with
first.
where it was just like the AT-AT.
Yeah.
You're just scrolling with
Yes.
the AT-ATs. Yeah, oof. That was I think that was my first one, period.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a really vivid memory of like playing a Batman arcade game with my dad when I was really, really young, which I think was my first gaming experience. The only problem with that is like I've tried to research Batman arcade games and like
It doesn't exist.
The earliest one, would not have been when I was that young. So like somehow that's like a weird memory that I've either made up or like have confused with something else.
Maybe it's a dream.
Or it was a dream. I don't know.
Wow, this is
Yeah.
getting really deep. We've now
Yeah.
Inceptioned.
We've
on the-
circled
yeah,
back.
That's right. But I also have really, like, as I've looked up games that I remember playing as a young kid that are real, Centipede was up there. It was like I have memories of playing Centipede at a young age with my dad as well. And that was probably the first game I played.
Like in arcade?
Yeah, in the arcade.
In the
yeah.
arcade. Okay. But what was your first like console, like home experience?
Oh, it might have been Mario Brothers, honestly.
So like
yeah.
the NES era?
Yeah.
You were into that hardcore, or did you like just play kind of in passing?
Well, I played that a lot at a friend's house. My first like console, I remember we got a hand-me-down. I think it was a Commodore 64, which had this version of Pac-Man. It wasn't Pac-Man, but it was basically Pac-Man.
Yeah.
That I played that a lot. So that was like the first game that I owned at home that I played a lot.
Oh, all right, cool. And Dan, did you play a ton of 2600 after that?
Yeah, oh yeah. I did the entire 2600 experience.
Yeah.
Which was all kinds of stuff like Space Invaders, Missile Command. Oh god, I still have all the cartridges somewhere in a box.
What was your favorite 2600 game?
That was a really good. You know what? I don't know. It was a terrible game, and I don't know the name. Maybe you'll know it. It was a tomb crawling game. There couldn't have been too many of them. So like, you were basically Indiana Jones
Uncharted?
and going through like a pyramid, but it was super hard. I mean, like
Sword Quest kind of thing? Like
not
one
like
of those?
not Sword Quest. No, this was. You basically were playing like an Indiana Jones character going through like several pyramid stages. Somebody in the comments will get this for sure.
Yeah, I know
But
that I'm getting enough out of the reference here.
I wish
but-
I had more to like. You were in Egypt. You were doing pyramid exploration. It wasn't like Pitfall or anything. It was like you were just this little icon dude, like small screen, like Lode Runner style screen.
Okay.
So like, and lots of platforming and lots of dodging, and it was really, really, really hard.
Huh.
So back then I didn't have a whole lot of games. So I'd always I'd be like, okay, I'm bored of that one, because they were all just about scoring points. This one actually had more of the adventure style going
Gotcha.
on.
Huh.
And Treasure of Tutankhamun, maybe?
Oh, okay.
I don't know, but it was.
That was an arcade game, I believe.
Yeah,
that
see,
maybe would have
then
been
that
brought
wouldn't have-
over.
Maybe. That's why I didn't want to say for sure, because I don't know what it was. I know that it was hard as balls.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and perhaps that was my introduction to the hardcore segment. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
it-
even at that early
That
age.
was, you were Dark Souls before
Yeah,
Dark Souls.
I was like,
Souls.
man,
Yeah.
I'm getting my ass kicked. I
Yeah.
love it.
How about you, Leo?
What you said when you got physically beat up as well.
My start as a Mac gamer is a long and storied one.
Ooh, a Mac gamer.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a rarity.
That was all we had in my home. We would get Mac Addict magazine. I would skip to the game reviews and look at the screenshots and read them.
The one.
Repeatedly. Yeah, right. The one big one. And they also had a demo disc that came with Mac Addict. So I would play a lot of games that way. That's how I got introduced to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I got the demo on one of those discs, which is probably the first franchise I got super into. I
That's
played
a
it
very good first game, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I played it on a keyboard, which people like to scoff at. I didn't know any better as a youth, but I maintain to this day, doing a special trick, a right-down grab, infinitely easier on the arrow keys than with the thumbstick.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a skill you'll never lose. Like, you're going to have next-level keyboard dexterity that others would never have.
At least for the flip, grind, and grab keys.
Yeah. And so, I played a fair amount of Mac games, but at a different era. Back when Mac was a little bit different, but I played kind of like Deja Vu and those kind of like adventure games when they were like early adventure games.
They were
on
awesome.
Mac. Yeah, that's cool. So was that? What was your first console, Leo?
First console was original Xbox.
Original Xbox.
We would always rent consoles for holidays as a youth.
Yeah.
And then eventually we rented an Xbox, and we rented an Xbox again, and then we went on a trip, and I was talking with my dad, and I was like, hey, when can we rent the Xbox again? He was like, oh, they don't rent consoles anymore. I just bought it last time. And so it's in our
nice.
closet at home, and then we
What?
just brought
Nice.
it out from then on.
That's a great surprise.
That's amazing.
It was
That's pretty
awesome.
sweet.
How great was that day?
It was great because he bought Simpsons Hit and Run, which I thought was weird, but it was like, okay, I guess if we're going to get Simpsons Hit and Run, a big Simpsons family, if we're
Yeah.
going to get that every time we rent the Xbox, may as well just buy it. But it makes more sense in hindsight since we also owned an Xbox.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My family, when we were kids, they bought for Christmas. They bought Who Framed Roger Rabbit on VHS, but we didn't own a VCR. So it was like, wait, why did you buy us this? We kept expecting them to give us a VCR as well, but then they didn't. It was like another 2 years before we got a VCR.
It's like a
So I was
weird
like, hey,
form
we
of
got Who
torture.
Framed Roger Rabbit.
That is
Well, we
very
can't
bizarre.
watch it. We were very excited.
Think
for
of it like a small book. You can read the back of the box.
That's right.
Well, all right, that's interesting. For me, just to answer the question, I started playing basically on terminals. So I played like Star Trek and ASCII and moved on to like Pong and 2600 and all the platforms. I'm old. That's the best answer I can give you to that. But a great question. Really appreciate it, Austin. So this is the next one that I just had to bring up. So hi, Game Informer crew. This is Devin from Montreal, Canada, and I'm loving the long podcast. Keep it up. I don't know if the comparison has ever been made, but Daniel Tack is like the Don Cherry of journalists, which I'd like to
Who
bring
can
up.
forget?
Who Don Cherry is, for anyone that
Yeah.
doesn't know. I think you should. And he brings up this point. It's like he's a former player for the Boston Bruins in the NHL and is also known for his intermission commentary on Coach's Corner. It's this like hockey night in Canada kind of thing. He's most famous in Canada. But he wears these insane suits. And like you can Google him and you can see that that's his thing. And I kind of love this comparison. I do think, I think this your shtick. I love it.
You know, I don't know anything about his work. I did check out a couple of his suits on Google.
And you should.
I think his suits are a little more ostentatious than mine.
Little.
Yeah.
maybe
It's a bold statement right now.
Maybe you should reach out to him, see if he can have some hand-me-downs for you.
I'll
that
do
you
it.
guys
I'll
could
do it. I'll send him an email after the show.
be like, hey, I got an idea.
I'll find out who his agent is, and I'll be like, yo, I got any hand-me-downs? I'm trying to be the next the Don Cherry of games.
The Don Cherry of games. So I love that one. Also from someone from Montreal who would totally get it. I know our Canadian viewers totally know what's going on, and everyone else in the world was like, who is Don Cherry?
That's what I said.
But it made me laugh. I knew who he was.
I'm trying to think of a suit more ostentatious than what Tack is wearing right now, and I can only think of like the Riddler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I could. Yeah, that's a good. You know,
Yeah.
we gotta step it up.
I was thinking of who's the guy is like the free money guy. You know who I'm talking about? He has all those books and like he has a bunch of
Yeah, the guy
videos.
with the glasses and like
He wears those
the
suits
Ri-
with
it's a
like
Riddler
the dollar
style
sign.
outfit,
It's
yeah.
basically the Riddler suit
With
is what he's
dollar signs,
wearing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Devin said this question. He also brought up that GI Town needs an esports arena and who would have commentate during intermissions. We're not going to do that now.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one because I think it would be like picking our favorite ones, or would we make it be like who of the Game Informer editors would be our favorite one? Because I feel like Game Informer editors would have to commentate in the Game Informer town.
That's
But
a
like,
complicated question.
I don't know that we're any good at that, other than we could just talk complete nonsense.
Isn't that
about
what people
things.
want to hear?
Though I will say, I have a weird thing. This is a weird thing for me. I didn't plan on talking this, but I'm bringing this up now.
Okay.
Is it a medical thing? You
No,
want us to-
no. it's not. Though it does sound
called
kind
a
of
skin
like,
tag.
No, I really enjoy watching esports, and it's kind of a weird dream of mine. I would love to commentate. I would actually love to commentate. I would like to be more like the kind of the drunken analyst who's along with the guy that really knows the stuff.
Right.
Like I'm familiar with. I know the players. I know the rules. I know everything that's going on. I'm not completely out of touch, but I want to be kind of
Right.
zany.
I mean, that's-
right? Like that would
Most
be fun.
setups involve a role like that. I think we could hook you up for
But
sure.
I'd like to do that. So if you're out there and you're doing some kind of esports thing, I would love to be a weird, bad, low-level celebrity commentator analyst for esports. I think that would be a lot of fun.
You're gonna get like 100 calls after the show.
I
you know
think
that,
it'd be a
right?
lot of fun. It's a thing I would really like to
All
do.
right.
It's kind of one of my weird, like, kind of secret. I have a secret checklist of things I want to do in video games, and that's on it.
I did not know that.
It's on. Do you? So here's my question: do you guys have any secret things you'd love to accomplish in video games?
In video games? Not what you just mentioned. I'd love to be in a game.
Be in a game?
Supposedly, I'm in. Oh gosh, Infamous Second Son. Supposedly, I might be in there. I know Dan was in there because we did a cover on the game, and they scanned us for that. And then supposedly they put us in the game, but I never found myself. Dan said he found himself.
Oh, so it's just like walking among the people on the streets.
Yeah, just like a bystander.
So you didn't just spend a whole night looking around in game to see if you could find yourself.
Well, I mean, I played the game and I
multiple
kept an
nights.
eye out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You guys, anything? Or that was just a weird tangent that I should have gone
Yeah,
down?
it's cool. I mean, it's a really good question actually. I'd like to make a game.
You'd like to make a
some
game
point,
someday?
yeah.
That'd be fun,
That's
yeah.
cool. No, I
Like
think
what
it'd be-
kind of game?
Oh man, RPG, old school RPG, dungeon crawler, kind of thing. I
like
think.
wizardry, first person?
Wizardry
like,
style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Someone just put one out recently. I forgot what the name of it is. That's much talked about, by the way. That's in that vein. There's a new indie game that came out that's all doing that old school first person
Really?
stuff. I'll have to look it up.
All right.
Sorry, sometimes it's hard to remember all the games
Oh, I know
look
it is.
at. All the
There's a
time, but,
couple
like,
of them out there. I know.
Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. How about you, Leo?
Yeah, along the lines of what Tech said, I'd love to write a game someday.
Write a game, like specifically
write dialogue,
the
write a
narrative,
story. Yeah,
like
yeah.
narrative, not like just design a game, like just like narrative
Yeah.
to write a game. Yeah.
What would be
cool.
the first line?
The start.
I like it.
It's good. I'm sold.
And then in the end, when it says the end, it's like, wow, full circle.
Did it say
Dear,
the start?
Yeah, right.
no, the way it starts off is just text that says "Dear Dream Journal."
Ooh.
Yeah.
... Right, and then that's how it starts. Right?
Honestly, you should make the game from your dream.
Okay.
That'd be really good.
That did sound like a good game. when
It'd
I was
be
reading
really
it back.
good.
really
Yeah.
great or creepy, one or the other.
Yeah.
It could you have to be careful with how you make that game.
Would it be less creepy if all the people were just animals?
Wow. Wow. No, that'd be probably more creepy.
Or birds.
Yeah, that might be weird. We'll see.
Interesting though.
Yeah.
It's a good concept.
But thank you for the for the comments, Devin. We really appreciate it. So hey, GI crew, I recently read and enjoyed Brian Shea's feature on the upcoming Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC in the Game Informer issue 323. Even though I enjoyed the game and Shea's feature, when I finished reading it, I knew there was no way I was touching that DLC. For the last few years, I've had a strict no DLC policy. I like to play games and remember them as a single experience, and no matter how good the DLC is, I always feel like it alters my memory of the main game and never get past 80% as good, and never gets past 80% as good as the original game was anyway. Most times I end up wishing I hadn't bothered with the DLC. My questions are, other than what you have to do for work, what are your all's feelings on DLC? Do you play or not play it? Do you ever regret playing DLC? What makes for good DLC? And finally, what do you think is the best DLC of all time? That is a lot of questions.
too
Wesley in Alexandria, Louisiana. Thanks for all your great content and keep up
One
the good
question rule from now on.
work. No, there's no rules.
Ah, dang
There's
it.
no rules. There's no rules.
Good try, Reese.
Yeah, I tried.
So let's start with this. I think what the crux of this thing is that, like, I mean, do you DLC?
So to answer the question as simply as I can, with all the nuances in there.
Yeah.
If I'm in for the game and I like the game, then I'm doing the DLC.
Yeah.
And for Pokemon's example, I didn't like it, so I'm not going to do the DLC. Other games, I think it's like the best part of the entire experience. Like with pretty much all of From Software's games, the DLC is the best part. So
Yeah.
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
Can you give us an example? What's the best DLC they've done?
yeah. You know, this comes up a lot.
And
I
it's
would
going to be
say-
like, remember the name that we can never remember.
No. It's a very difficult choice among those. But I'd say I'm gonna go with Bloodborne's The Old Hunters.
Yeah.
It was really fantastic all through and through. But it's highly debatable. Like
Yeah.
all their DLCs are amazing, with like just small nitpicks in each one of them. But like most of the time, they're way better than the game themselves, and they cater to like
From softwares in particular.
yes,
Yeah.
from softwares. I'm talking they cater to the
hardcore.
yes. So the main game isn't generally tailored to be able to be completed by anyone.
Yeah, it's just easy mode.
Not
Anybody can play
easy
them.
mode.
Yeah.
No one say. I think that anyone can beat them, but that's a whole other discussion. The DLC stuff is designed for a player who's really ravenous to get some harder encounters.
Yeah.
And they provide those.
They deliver.
And they over deliver, in fact. But I guess that's that on the surface. So like I think those games are definitely like completed with those DLCs as well. So like they're part of the game. And if I like the game, I'm definitely in for the DLC. That's how it goes for me.
How about you, Leo? You a DLC guy?
I am. Obviously this isn't what the writer of this email's problem with DLC is, but I think it's funny that, years back it used to be a issue of like all this day one DLC or whatever, but now there's microtransactions and loot boxes and all these more complicated, less sure ways to put money into games that anytime it's a straight up DLC, like say Hitman, where you buy a level and you know what you're getting, that's like a breath of fresh air, and I appreciate having that kind of known quantity that you're purchasing. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It feels like straight up single player campaign style DLCs are more rare than they used to be. Probably because, like you're saying, loot boxes and all those other options.
Yeah, it's changed. They're not.
Have changed
DLC
it,
is
yeah.
not as common as it once was.
No. Yeah, I was just
tends
thinking.
to be chapters, or like have like
We're
new things.
we're doing
like
seasonal
that.
content with
Yeah.
a battle pass attached now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ways to infinitely monetize versus
Yes.
for
Just the one
thing.
time. Yeah.
Because I've been trying to think of like what's the last DLC I played, and I can't think of anything.
Spider-Man. You would have played the Spider-Man
Oh
ones, right?
yeah, I did play that, but I didn't love that DLC as much. I just because I was hungry for more Breath of the Wild. I played the Breath of the Wild DLC. I like DLC. I should play the Assassin's Creed Odyssey DLC is supposedly really good.
Yeah, it's
and really
supposedly
big.
huge.
I
Yeah.
want to play that, but I kind of like. I don't know. I'm selective with the DLC I play. I kind of cherry pick what I play a little bit to a degree. I would say to answer his question though, like
Don cherry pick.
yeah,
Yeah.
the best DLC I played is probably still Last of Us.
Left Behind.
Left Behind. Yeah, that's what it was called.
Yeah. Do you ever have it do like he mentions that it taints or changes your perception of the original game?
I don't think so. So like Spider-Man, which I didn't love the DLC for, I thought it was fine. Didn't taint my experience. I would say with Last of Us, I almost feel like I'm more fond of that game because of that DLC though.
Okay.
I agree.
If anything.
Yeah, I mean, nothing is ever just like 100% one way or the other. I mean, I admire people being hard-headed to a degree. So if you don't want to ever play DLC, don't ever play DLC. But I think we can all agree that if it's a game you really love and they do a good job, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
It seems
Great
like
addition,
I think
yeah.
I think that's pretty much what it comes down to. I don't know if I have a best DLC of all time. I kind of do.
It's really hard.
I tend to agree because I do think that the core games do get that sense of love, that you maybe don't always get out of the DLC. So I don't know that I have a favorite, but I'm definitely on games that I really enjoy. I like going back in and playing some more and getting a chance to enjoy them.
Rise of the Tomb Raider had that survival mode I've talked about before that was co-op and randomly generated, and you had to like manage heat and eating, and there was cards and tombs to raid, and it was really underrated.
Yeah, and a completely different experience, which is kind of great, right?
Yeah.
Like, that you really change the game and get a chance to do something different.
At least like completely rearrange it to a new thing.
I have a question kind of based on this one in my own, like Andy adding questions. Do you keep games on your PC or on your PS4 or on your Xbox because you liked them and you think at some point there may be DLC, so you do not remove them?
I do, yeah.
No, I just don't remove them, period, anyway, because I never remove games
How's that
until
possible?
You get like
You don't ever remove games.
I do, but like it's like I do it like in waves, right? Like I'll let the hard drive fill up over a very long period of time, and then it'll be like, oh, I'm actually running out of space somehow. Okay, and I'll just go through and like uninstall like 50 games.
Okay.
Wow.
I'll be like, all right, all cleaned up. Let's do it.
I kind of do that, but not I definitely keep games. I still have games on my PlayStation and my PC that are like, I'm keeping them here because I'm going to go to the DLC, and I never do.
I did that for Doom 2016 because I was like, oh, I hope they release some some single player DLC content, which they never did. But I held on to it for a long time, hoping I was like gonna have a reason to go back to that game.
Yeah. Leo?
Yeah, the lies I tell myself.
Yeah.
About going through my Steam library, like, oh, but surely I'm gonna pick that back up. I've not. Just last night, I was scrolling and seeing the page under 2018 that I haven't played, and there were
Wow.
games in there. I was like, but I think I will probably.
Yeah, maybe. Sure.
What do you think the oldest game on there that you still have downloaded is that you haven't played?
Gary's mod. Because you have to download like Half-Life 2 and everything to have all the assets. So it's like, I don't want to go through that experience again. So I'll just leave it there on the off chance I need it.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it does happen. So that is the end of those questions. The one I want to flip back to, which I'm going to list here, which is our GI Town question. I should have been. I was just enjoying your answer so much, I wasn't looking back. Okay, here we go. Hey, Andy and the GI crew. Now you're going to have a GI Town. How are you going to have a GI Town without an arcade?
Oh my gosh.
I agree. How could we have a GI Town without an arcade?
Honestly, we're gonna have like 10 arcades in a GI town.
I don't think it's
not
a town
possible.
yet.
It's not, without an arcade.
No,
it's
not
not
without an arcade.
No,
Can't
I mean,
officially apply.
Luckily for you, wealthy business tycoon Tom Nook has offered to kit out the arcade with as many cabinets as you'd like. So what games would you make or put into GI's arcade? Beaten Down Brian, Carlo, Ireland.
We only get 5 though, right?
Damn right.
We only get
by the
5.
town
That's
rules?
the rules.
Yeah.
And by the way, I appreciate. I've seen the comments. Some people are like, "I hate your stupid town." I'm sorry. I think most people like our town. We're going to keep working on the town. So I'm sorry you hate our stupid town, but we're working on the stupid town. And I like the town. I think the town's fun, and I like arcades. But I always have to kind of create artificial rules around this as well. But we're going to do 5 because that's what we do. And I want them to be things that were real arcade cabinets, right? It can't just be like,
Sure.
I want to have, this game, Fortnite, and be in like this
Yeah,
cabinet. Like I
sure.
want it to be like an arcade game. I want this to be classic. Let's take some chances. Let's do some interesting picks.
What about
Okay.
an arcade cabinet that's more like a cage and Chewbacca's in it?
That was going to be my first suggestion.
I don't have to answer these questions.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I mean, like maybe it's one of those like arms that comes down and pulls out a stuffed Chewbacca.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Oh.
You know,
Do
like
those count?
the classic crane. That's
The
an
claw
arcade
thing?
game, right? Like the crane game is a classic arcade
What about
game,
skee
right?
ball? Does that count?
That's a classic, I think, arcade
I
game.
spent a lot of money
Can
on
we?
skee ball.
Okay, so that's
Skee ball.
not.
And like the
It's not a
basketball
cabinet.
game.
Those are definitely aren't arcades, but those aren't like cabinets, right?
I guess they're not cabinets. I mean, I think it would be up to us, but I mean, a good arcade has skee ball.
I think-
has that basketball
right.
game and has.
I think you're right, but I think that's gonna limit us.
I mean, we have 5 games. This is not going
Yeah.
to be a good arcade, period.
That's true. You're right.
Well, maybe we can have 10 copies of each one.
I'm just saying if we do
Okay.
like if we do the basketballs, which we have to, yeah, and then
have to.
and the skee ball and like the air hockey and all the other stuff that we love from the arcades.
Yeah, God, I think we should, as a rule, we should make it be video games.
Right.
We should get rid of those. To add this. I think it's
I
good we
want
talked
that
about those
stuff.
because those things are fun.
Yeah.
I want that stuff
Those
in
things are
here.
fun.
But
Skee ball would definitely be there if we were going to do it. But
Yeah.
I
I'd
think
also
it's
like
good
to point
to
out
limit.
someone did back me up on the Chewbacca thing in the comments. But that's it.
I'm sure
Poor
so.
Chewie. It's just that- I know, and I get it. Optics bad. We're moving on. Okay, so the arcade. I mean, okay, we got to start with some of the classics. And then at least I'm just gonna say them out loud,
Okay.
and then we can start to go through them, like Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Missile Command. Right?
Mrs. Pac-Man if we're going to do
Galaga,
Pac-Man.
Centipede. I mean, I don't want those 2 in there, by the way, but I'm just saying if we're gonna go through the classics.
Well, what's? I mean, I feel like first of all, I know this is not very like Pac-Man has to be in there. Well, like, Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man.
I feel like
Miss Pac-Man?
I feel like we have to lose a slot to Miss Pac-Man.
Well, lose a slot. That's like the best game on our
Well, but
arcade.
I hate it whenever we do a list, whenever one slot is like, it's got to be there.
Sure.
Just in general.
But I think Miss Pac-Man's up
Yes.
100%.
Yeah,
right?
we have to have a Pac-Man cabinet.
I go
Okay.
to Up Down every once in a while.
Yeah. Oh,
around
yeah.
here.
So do I. It's a great place.
Absolutely, I love it. The standout best game there, I always determine, is Tapper.
Oh, really?
Man,
Every
that's
time.
I
I'd love to
love
have
Tapper.
Here. Tapper
Yeah.
here.
You know which one
Tapper
I
rules.
love? Super Sprint. I love those. I love the driving wheel games,
Yeah.
which they got rid of.
Driving
They
game
got.
would
I
be
think it
good.
broke, and they were like, bye. Like no one knew how to fix it, and it went away. And I love that game.
It's more modern, but like Hydro Thunder is a good if you want a racing game.
Yeah, I like that game. I don't know that I love that game.
Okay.
Arctic Thunder blows wind at you, though.
Yeah, it
If you want
does.
to have a compromise,
Yeah.
bridge the gap, Arctic
I have a
Thunder.
dog that blows wind at me
So
too.
if it's a
Doesn't
hot
mean
summer day,
I mean,
Yeah.
this is a personal favorite, but Marvel vs. Capcom 2 defined my
I mean, we
my-
should have a fighting game. We should have a
defined
fighting
my
game.
arcade days.
Is that the
by-
fighting game or is it
That's-
Street Fighter?
I mean, I played a lot of Street Fighter 2 as well, but
I would.
but my heyday on the street fighting scene was Marvel vs. Capcom
Or
2.
Mortal Kombat?
I'd play way more Marvel vs. Capcom because it's still got the Street Fighter characters in it.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was one of the first that had like a giant cabinet to go along with it and like explosive sound effects so that when people would line up the quarters, it was just more of a experiential thing more than just a standard cabinet size.
I think I can give it points for being fun. Like just like that, it's just kind of like it's got a lot of variety and zany, which gives it a good entry.
And you had like there was the aspect of like doing community unlocks at the arcade because to get the characters unlocked at each different arcade.
Leo, you seem to have. You want to say something about that?
Oh,
the
sure.
fighting game.
Just that Street Fighter 2 is definitely more seminal for me. The first time I played Street Fighter 2 at an arcade, we played it for like 2 hours straight, and I went home and ordered 2 fight sticks online immediately.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 is
I mean, I
defines
could see
so
the
many
case for it.
things. But I will say this: someone sent me this comment, and I appreciate it. I'm gonna paraphrase and probably destroy it a little bit. But they were like, when we talked about an army or something like that, like you picked Master Chief. Yawn, yawn, yawn. They were like, try to be more adventurous in what your choices are. That like we all know in this case, and I'm not trying to argue against Street Fighter, but he's like, we all know Street Fighter's great. Pick something a little different just to make the town more interesting, more varied. And I thought that was a fair critique, right? I try to say is a good critique of like things that we choose. So I'm sharing that with you guys as we make this choice. But I'm with you. I mean, I kind of feel like I would pick Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Even though Street Fighter 2 obviously is the one, but I definitely see the point in Marvel versus Capcom 2 just being fun because there's just a lot of variety in it.
was
There's just
good.
a lot of it's got like it's over the top.
It had over the top super moves, which people would just freak out about. It was awesome.
And
You
it's
know?
accessible. Like anybody can mash
Anyone
and
can
have
play
fun.
it. It's fun. I mean, I kind of think like everybody knows Street Fighter 2 is good, but like there's a good reason to like you can walk up and have more fun with Marvel versus Capcom 2,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
right?
And I would go Third Strike if we were doing a Street Fighter.
Yeah, well,
anyway.
look, I
Wow.
love this. We
please.
should have we need to have the like arcade with only Street Fighters in it and do a top
Yeah.
five.
Yes, we
Right.
could do it too.
Like at a Bungie.
Yeah.
Do
They
they have
like
just a Street Fighter
3
room?
versions of Street Fighter 3 in their lobby.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good choice. Okay, so let's at least it's on the list. What other
Okay.
games should we like have on the list?
Golden Axe.
Golden Axe.
Golden Axe. Wow.
I'm gonna
Or we can pick any. We can go over the brawlers, the arcade brawlers.
throw out
What's your
one.
favorite? Simpsons Cabinet. Everyone wants that one.
Oh yeah.
no.
Simpsons.
Most
fun.
overrated game of all time.
I mean, I agree with you, Leo, but it's like it's kind of a staple.
It's a giant
Yeah.
quarter hog. It was fun.
I'm gonna put this out here because one of my favorite. If I could own 2 cabinets, by the way, one of the cabinets would be Miss Pac-Man.
Yes.
The other cabinet I would own would be Galaga. I love Galaga.
I'm not gonna argue against
Galaga's really
Galaga.
good.
I played a lot of Galaga. Pizza places had a lot of Galaga.
It's one that's lived on like to this day. Galaga still exists
Sure.
because it's a classic and it's so good. That's one I would throw out there.
Let's get Galaga in there. Frogger.
Frogger, I go
I'm not
back
a-
and
I'm
forth.
not
on.
a
I don't
big
like
Frogger
it. I don't
supporter.
like it in the arcade.
I don't either. Okay. Just
I
forget
do
about
with
that
that.
one.
Anybody else? Did anybody a Frogger
I
defender?
like Frogger a lot, but I don't think I need it in my arcade.
Yeah, I don't. I think so. Galaga, but Golden Axe. Is there which of the brawlers is your favorite? Leo, are you a TMNT person? I know a lot of people are a team.
The Turtles in Time was a really big one.
I would do like the X-Men one maybe,
X-Men's
Oh, I
good.
like the X-Men one.
but I'm not a fan of beat 'em ups in general.
I mean,
I
like
almost don't
Gauntlet, but
know that we
there's something
need it.
about having a 4-player game.
Not the Gauntlet. Yeah, let's do the X-Men one was really good.
Like there, in some way, shape, or form, having
Mm-hmm.
something like that is a good addition.
For sure.
I'd be fine with X. By the way, and this I feel like they're all kind of the same.
They are.
Like all
I
those
mean, you're
games
not
are all
wrong.
the kind of same.
They're quarter munchers where you hit the button until you die. I mean,
So X-Men, whatever, doesn't matter.
I mean,
It's
the
like what
X-Men
flavor
one.
you want.
people
you
are
know?
going to go crazy that we don't have the Simpsons one. And
I
put the
know,
X-Men.
and someone's
I
gonna be
love it.
mad that I said that they're all the same too. By the way,
I
Someone
know.
will be very
You're going to
angry
hear about
that.
the minutia of like moving up and down on the board
Yes.
during the right key press. It's going to be great.
Yes. But I like that more than I like. By the way, I don't like Golden Axe in the arcade either.
Okay.
I'm one of those people. I didn't ever really love it. I played it on Genesis a lot because it was on Genesis. You know what I mean? I had it at home, but I never really liked it in the arcade.
I liked a really obscure arcade game that I don't know the name of, where you played trivia to move around a board game board, and it was fantasy themed. God, I got to remember the name of this now. I got to look this up.
I also thought
We're not putting it on there, but I'm just curious.
I thought we should bring up a modern game, and Killer Queen is great.
Oh man, I was gonna bring that up.
Were you
the
gonna
arcade,
bring
the
that up?
arcade version?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's fun. It's a bunch of people. It's the kind of asymmetrical stuff we were talking about earlier
Yeah.
that's actually done pretty well.
If you want a multiplayer game, like that's the one I would have.
The arcade
in my
version is
opinion.
great. It's like it defines like up downs and stuff now. I have friends who are super into that game.
All right.
Speaking of modern, have you guys played Switch and Shoot?
No.
Switch and shoot.
It's one button, so you can hold a drink while you play.
Oh.
And every time it looks like Galaga from afar, right? And you've
Yeah.
got enemies coming down at a certain rate. And every time you press the button, you both fire and switch directions. You're constantly moving left. Then you press a button, you shoot, and you start moving right. And it's so simple, but it takes so much to master, and it's really good at giving you quarters if you screw up.
Huh.
But it's like, it's perfect. I don't know. I love it. I play it every time I go there. To
Oh, really?
Uptown.
I'll have to check that out. That
I'll have
sounds
to check
cool.
that as well.
Yeah.
I really like. I have a lot of fondness for Burger Time. I don't know if you guys are gonna go for that one, but
I know I like Burger Time. We're
gonna have a lot of choices for this.
I have respect. I mean, like the thing is, I have a lot. I actually have a lot of love, and I know it's super hard. And I know you mentioned you wouldn't want them in there, but like the Centipede and Missile commands are super hard. They're like the ball based, like a 10-yard
Yeah.
fight, which I used to just hurt my hands on a lot. But those games are
'Cause
really
you were rubbing
fun.
the ball too much.
No, because you
have to
you
smack
like
it.
have to like really go at it, and like
Uh-huh.
you'd get caught.
With the ball.
Your skin would get caught,
Yeah.
and so there's injuries, right? Like it's a sport. It's a sport.
Light gun game? Do you like gun game in
That
there?
I was gonna say, do we want to
yeah.
get gun games
Time
like
Crisis.
Time Crisis? I was
Feels
gonna
like
bring
the
Time Crisis.
one, right?
Or like the one, or like one of its precursors, Mad Dog McCree.
No. Oh, that is fun though.
Remember that
actually.
one?
Like
Yeah.
it's fun just to watch the video. Like go
I
on
mean, yeah,
YouTube,
that's-
watch Mad Dog McCree. Like it's great. Good
Okay,
time.
so to get through this thing kind of quickly, we have Miss Pac-Man, we have Marvel vs. Capcom 2, we have Galaga, we have Killer Queen, and we have X-Men. That is 5. So we need to discuss if we want to have a light gun game replace something. Tapper, which I'd like to remember that Leo said that is his favorite game, and he plays it every time he goes there.
What were the 5 you listed again?
Space is tough.
Miss Pac-Man, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Galaga, Killer Queen, X-Men.
I could maybe trade X-Men for Tapper.
Yeah, I mean, we want it there because of the 4-player aspect, but I
But we
think
got Killer
Tapper's is
Queen.
We
the
have
league's
Killer
better
Queen
game.
now.
But
is
they're
the-
yeah, right.
different multiplayer experiences. But if you want Tapper, I'm not going to fight for X-Men. Because one of them's co-op and the other one's like a competitive kind of game.
Yeah, I think I mean that's definitely the weak spot for me. Number 5 right now at the bottom of our list is X-Men, in my opinion.
We lose the communal fighter or brawler, whatever you want to call it. But-
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
which is not. I'm not against.
I'm not against it. I just communal brawlers were like a huge arcade thing. I mean, I had a lot of fun with
Well, it
them.
depends what you
Yeah.
want. Are we trying to pick something that encompasses everything
Yeah, I
from
don't-
the arcade scene?
We're
or are
making
we
our
trying
own arcade, so we can do
We're
whatever we
making-
want.
we
to
do
just
want.
something that we want to have fun with
How
in our town?
about you, Leo? We'll let you make the call. X-Men or Tapper?
Well, I go Tapper above any of these.
So
All right.
you're just gonna go with your heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, Galaga and Miss Pac-Man kind of fill a similar niche for me.
Okay, gotcha.
But then again, Tapper isn't putting in any kind of niche that isn't already represented, so it's a tough call. But I'd put Tapper in above X-Men.
You guys want to do that? Tapper, let's move in.
It's okay with me.
It's a bold choice.
It is. It
It's a
gives
bold
us,
choice. I
I'd
like
do
being
it.
bold. Tapper it is. So, our arcade has Miss Pac-Man, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Galaga, Killer Queen, and Tapper.
Quick question: is that the original Budweiser theme Tapper, or is it root beer Tapper?
the original.
Leo?
It's the Budweiser thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason I like it is the normalizing of alcoholism.
Is to feel like I'm just drinking.
Yeah.
Well, that's a classy way to end that
Yeah.
segment. That's,
Wow.
that's what we're really looking for, because class is what we do here. All right. We are nearing the end, everyone. We are nearing the end. So, we did have some people submit some Kiss, Marry, Kill suggestions, which I actually think were well thought out. And so, hi, GI crew. My name is Tim Riley, and I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Let's have some. He has some categories for us. Let's go through them. So he has 5 here. 5. So let's try to we'll try to do them kind of quick.
Yeah.
So the first one is actually, no, I'm gonna skip that one. The first one's kind of themed here around.
We have
super
4.
quick. We have 4.
We have 4.
Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken.
Ah,
I feel like Tekken's gonna get murdered.
Kill Tekken.
Kill Tekken.
Yep. Marry
Tekken.
Street Fighter. And kiss the other one.
Kiss, I guess.
Mortal Kombat.
Molina?
We all agree with that,
Yeah.
don't we?
Yeah, I think that's.
Is there anyone that does anything different?
I kill Mortal Kombat.
Over Tekken?
You'd fatality.
And you would kiss Tekken?
I would kiss Tekken.
Okay.
Wow.
Sorry, Street
All
Fighter.
right.
I mean, Street Fighter wins. You marry Street Fighter no matter what, unfortunately.
Well, that's what I was
That's a
trying to
long-term.
understand. Like, because Kiss and Mary, like Mary's
Where do you
just
think Kiss is?
the one you love, and Kiss is like a lesser.
Yeah.
Kiss is the
marriage.
replacement
Kiss-
for a
Kiss is the
a
fling.
word that we can't use on our podcast.
I know what it's
fling
a
raise.
replacement for, but those are two different things. Of like, are you?
It's basically saying that the crux of this game, to remind everyone, is not we're not actually physically kissing any video game, right? The idea is that
Important to
like
clarify.
the marrying level is like I would make a AAA super game out of it, right? The kind of mid-tier Kiss is like I'd make like an indie game out of it.
Like
I'd
and a kill.
I'd like it. I'm going to invest in it kind of, but I'm not give it a ton of it. And then the kill is like I don't make that game anymore.
Okay.
Right. So it's more game related. It's
Because
not
in the
literally.
original, it's like, oh, this is the thing I
it's-
really want to be close with and intimate with.
not
and this is
directly
the other thing. It's
translating
like,
the
oh, I'm
system.
horny for this thing.
Yeah, no, you're not. No, it's not. It's not a weird. This isn't her or anything like that. We're not. You're not falling in love with an AI in this particular case. But there's no classy way to name this game other than stealing the name that it's stolen from. Unless someone has a better idea. I'm not good at naming these things.
The game structure has been in place for many years. It's well
Exactly.
established.
I would kiss Mary.
Yeah. All right.
I would make love to Tekken.
You're horny
Does
for
that
Tekken?
work?
Yeah, that works. That works. Well, at least we were getting weird.
Yeah, that's it's falling apart.
So next up is you know what? These I feel like that we're like so. This is the best one. We're gonna go to this one actually.
Okay.
Call of Duty, Battlefield, Titanfall.
Ooh.
This is not nice.
Can I kiss and marry Titanfall?
No, you have to make choices. This is how. Like by the way, last week it was like we killed Resident Evil. Like all four of us picked to like
Yeah,
kill
what the
Resident
hell?
Evil, which was like kind of crazy because Resident Evil's great, and Ben wasn't here to. He would have.
I would've
think,
married it.
He would have married it. Yes,
100%.
correct. And it was just ended up being that way. So like once again, this is all these games are great.
It's good.
Just-
Good,
we're
ga-
just-
good
we're just-
games are defined by interesting choices,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So you have to make a tough choice.
Right.
So this is another one that has a tough choice to it.
So kiss Call of Duty, marry Titanfall, kill Battlefield.
Kill Battlefield, marry Call of Duty, kiss Titanfall.
Will you kiss Titanfall as well, Ben?
Mary.
You
I
married-
married.
Oh, you married
That's
Titanfall.
right.
All right. And Leo.
Marry Titanfall for sure. Kiss Battlefield, kill Call of Duty.
This is going to be a divisive one. Everyone's got different
We got
choices.
a
It's
good mix
different.
there.
Yeah, that is a good mix. I think. Boy, that's really hard. I do think. Unfortunately, I do think. Just because Battlefield's been on the wane lately, you know what I mean? It's like the weak on the
Yeah.
herd, right? And you know what I mean? Like it's
That's how I read my
limping off
choice.
the
Yeah.
side. And you're like, which one do you kill?
Yeah.
You're like, you kill that one, right?
Put it
I-
out of its misery already. Yeah.
I think it's a shame because I think it's in its heyday, like the question becomes a lot harder, but it almost becomes too easy at where it's at right now. Which, by the way, EA, I hope you change that about Battlefield, bring it back. This is not a thing, but yeah, I killed Battlefield. I mean, I definitely killed Battlefield in this scenario. I think because I've been enjoying Apex so much, it makes it easy for me to just kind of kiss Titanfall and marry Call of Duty. I've really been into
a chef's kiss.
Yes, yes, a Italian fingers.
Mwah.
Yeah, I like because I've been enjoying this year's Call of Duty way more than I should. Modern Warfare this go has been a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying it. So I have a definitely going that way. So the 5 quickly became just 2.
That was
Well, okay. By the way, I should read
epic.
these off. The other ones were Tony Hawk's Pro Skater versus SSX versus Jet Grind Radio,
Man.
which I feel like we wouldn't have any interesting answers,
We
right?
don't.
Would we all do the same one?
No, I'd marry SSX.
You would.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd definitely marry Tony Hawk. And
Yeah, Tony Hawk. And like,
SSX.
I think Jet Grind Radio dies.
Yeah,
every
probably.
single one, right?
Yeah, it's
You
two
know, I'd
mediocre
probably
okay
I'd kill
games.
SSX before
You would.
Grind. Yeah.
How dare you? I married SSX. That's my wife.
That's interesting. That's actually an interesting choice. I didn't think anyone would choose that. I like Jet Grind Radio,
I went back to it not that long ago. It's on Steam now.
but like SSX,
so bizarre.
SSX, there's some really bad SSXs, but the good ones are really great.
Yeah, you should play SSX again.
3, right? 3's the best one.
But don't play around too much with my wife. 2 and 3 are both
Again,
really
you're
good.
taking this too literally.
I don't
He's
understand.
really loving this whole concept.
And then the other one that I skipped was Resident Evil versus Silent Hill versus The Evil Within.
Oh, well, I'd kill
Oh,
Resident
boy.
Evil for sure.
We already knew what your answer was. You already gave it away. So I thought that one was hard,
Is it?
or it was too easy, so I skipped it.
Yeah.
Would anyone kill Silent Hill? Doesn't just Evil Within gets it because it's just
Evil
like the
Within
most
gets it.
recent,
That is-
just
yeah.
like, and it's probably the most. And by the way, it's the one that's done the most interesting work in this space, but would die because of the other franchise's
Yes.
history.
Has it
essentially.
done the most interesting work though?
I think so.
It's done the only like recent attempts at well.
Well, Resident Evil's
Not
done
a-
some pretty recent stuff.
I
but
well like let's go look before Resident Evil 2 remake, right? Like, yeah.
8 was
I mean,
still
I
pretty
feel like in the
interesting.
time frame, like Evil Within has done the most interesting, like new innovation in that horror space out of all those ones. I mean, I know 7. There's a lot of people that really loved what 7 did for Resident Evil,
Yeah.
but it seemed like it split the herd a bit.
Maybe I just have a different take on Evil Within, where it just feels
I mean, it would
somewhat generic. to
We'd
me,
all kill
but-
that one. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Next one is from Dan Rajiski from Houston, Texas. Shout out to Texas there. He has a couple of options here as well, and I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick one.
This is more Kiss, Marry, Kill.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This is the final one. This is
All
our
right.
final segment.
This
This
is
is
it.
nearing the end. If you have comments or don't like our answers, podcast at GameInformer.com. If you have any comments about the show, put them on the comments. I read them. Let's see them. Send them in. This one is, I think, just because the movie recently happened. Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Interesting.
You're gonna make me do something with Sonic. This is
Yeah.
a trap.
This is not the first time I've fantasized about killing Sonic.
Wait, so just it was Spyro and Crash
And Sonic.
and Sonic. Man,
All right. Well, this isn't that bad. I guess.
Well,
Kiss
tell-
Crash. He's got those little jean shorts. We like them. Mary Spyro.
Mary Spyro.
Yeah.
Mary Spyro. And you're gonna kill. Do you want to say it out loud about how you're killing Sonic? Do you want to make sure it's heard?
Oh, sure. Well, I'd put down a lot of glue on the ground, and he'd come to a stop, and I'd walk up, and I'd grab his head, and I'd say, "Gotta go to hell," and I'd snap his neck. But it
Wow.
wouldn't bring me the joy that I was hoping it would.
Yeah, that's very.
could you be going to jail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killing Sonic.
Right.
Uh,
As the
Ben-
cops are closing.
Gotta go. All
Ben.
this glue. I'm stuck to the ground. I don't understand the glue part, but anyway.
Well, he'd be running fast otherwise.
Okay,
yeah, he
I
would
get
never
it.
catch him
Dumbass.
if he didn't. God, come on.
I get it. I don't know. I have a lot of old fandom for Sonic, and then the news, like for the last 15, 20 years, like a lot of people have not cared much about Sonic. But I don't have a lot of old fandom for Crash and Spyro because I didn't play those.
You don't have to
games
explain it.
until
No, we won't explain.
the new trilogies came out. But I really liked those games when I went back and replayed them. I guess I would marry Crash.
Okay.
I feel like he's the most interesting. He seems like a party animal.
Yeah.
But do you really want to settle down with that?
I feel like I can't kill Sonic. I just like him enough. I'd kiss him and kill Spyro. Just because it's the one I have the least nostalgia for.
Okay. Gotcha.
Spyro still plays so much better
It
than a lot
does.
of games
That's
of
the
its
thing
era.
is I did like those games, but
Yeah, it does. Dan.
I greatly dislike this
I
thing at
know.
all.
That's
Just wanna
kind of
say-
that's the
good.
joy I'm getting
Right.
from it.
All right, marry Sonic,
what?
Yeah.
Wow,
Kill
you're horny
Crash.
for Sonic?
Kill
and
Crash.
kiss Spyro. That's right.
Wow.
I'm going there.
How do you envision your marriage with Sonic?
Oh, it happened all so fast.
Does it involve glue?
It's nice.
That's a tough one. I think I loved Sonic back in the day, but I'm definitely pretty tired of it. But I think I probably do. Spyro is who I marry. Sonic is who I kiss, and Crash Bandicoot is who I kill.
Yep.
Crash you kill.
Not that I don't love Crash. It just the gameplay is just so PlayStation 1 era kind of thing. I kind of agree with Leo that Spyro had the kind of world and exploring stuff and had a lot of interesting things. And I don't know. That's just the way I go. It's a tough choice. I mean, Naughty Dog killed Crash, so I can't feel too
Yeah.
bad, right? I mean,
He's
they
already
literally were
dead.
like, "That's a thing from that era. We're moving on," right? So I don't think I can feel too bad. And Sonic, which I would love to kill. I'm with Leo.
Yeah.
There's a certain joy in that. I think mostly because the Sonic love, and someone's going to write in and be very angry about this. It's that the fans are so ridiculous about it. It's that there really are literally bad Sonic games. We're like, that's a bad Sonic game. And they're like, no, Sonic in it. It is the greatest thing ever. And I appreciate that level of fandom, but it makes having conversations about Sonic the Hedgehog are impossible to have, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to kill Sonic just because he's annoying.
Yeah.
But
people have a right to like Sonic the same as we have a right to want to kill him.
Exactly. Correct. Yes. So, but he is the kiss because I do think we could make some interesting Sonic games. The good ones are really good. So I think that's the thing. But I definitely kill Crash.
I've been thinking, when I kill Sonic, I'm thinking now I'll have a ring, like one of his classic rings, and I'll pull it around his neck and kind of strangle him with it, and I'll say, "With this ring, I thee dead."
Oh,
Wow.
Do you have a channel you share with your friends where you do Sonic murder dreams as well?
Yeah, it's kind of a group
group thing
whiteboard
over
that we
it.
can all
Yeah.
draw.
Wow.
Yeah. Very dark. It's very dark. Very dark message board there. So
It's an outlet.
that is a Game Informer show. Amazing, right? Everyone involved. Amazing. Amazing. Can you
crushed
believe it? What a show. What a show.
oh, the crowd. Do you hear the crowd outside?
I can hear him.
It's going
Listen.
wild.
Listen. Wow. Those choices, that insight. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you guys for being on the show. Fun as always. Please send in your questions to podcast@GameInformer.com. Like us on stuff. Follow us on stuff like YouTube and the Twitters. And
Not
we have
in a
an
creepy way, but follow us.
Yeah, and Instagram, and every once in a while we do streams on Twitch, and be a part of our community. We would love that. We have a merch store where you can buy silly shirts and coffee mugs and cases for your phone and stuff if you want or not.
We should make a shirt that says "Our Town" and has a bunch of stuff from our town in it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Wow.
That'd be fun. 'Cause it's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
Also,
Listen.
reminder: Baldur's Gate 3 and Resident Evil 3, both of those have new gameplay todays that are up right now.
That's right.
Yes.
YouTube.com/gaming.
Go watch
God,
them.
so
Wow.
much content.
So much stuff from Game Informer.
Isn't it the best?
It's like
Yes.
we're building a town of content every day.
You might need to call out of work
Yeah.
for this one.
Forever. From now on.
Yeah. Correct.
Because as long as we exist.
As long as we exist. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. It's fun. See you next week. Bye-bye.